welcome to MotorCult, episode 50. I'm Erik Berger, joined as always by my co-host Ryan Sinitsky.
That was not me ruining the episode.
No, I just decided to start it. And then we also have Jon Hauri.
That's our guest who ruined it for everyone.
And we're also
You're
streaming
welcome.
to his Twitch right now, this is going to be a first for us, actually streaming it live intentionally.
You're welcome for all the publicity you're going to get
Thanks,
from
man.
this.
To everyone that's watching MotorCult for the first time,
From
we
the-
just drink and talk about
the,
cars.
the five neckbeards on Twitch. The five neckbeards on Twitch that are watching John's channel right now. Yeah.
Thank you.
Hello there.
Thank you for your time.
I like your fedora.
Hello, industrious little fellows. And we're off the air in India.
On camera right now, which is weird because usually I'm able to hide from it.
Yeah,
Yeah,
well,
nope, here you
I
are.
fixed all the settings, and apparently the table webcam, it's a 1080p Logitech, and it was set on default settings, which is 320 by 240. So I fixed it.
No, so I'm gonna be on camera.
320 by
all the time.
240 is so low.
So all of our streams in the past were really low resolution. Now they're better. So anyway, let's move right on to beer. I'm doing New Glarus Brewing Staghorn, which John kindly brought.
Yep.
Yes.
Same here. Oh, I'm open minded.
Oh, Ryan can actually open his on camera. That'll be nice.
What a guest. Brings the beer.
I know. Usually we make people do that, but I didn't force you to do it. So
I did on my own because I'm a nice person.
Delicious.
on your honor. Oh man, we're only at 30% CPU usage. This is ridiculous.
This is absolutely delicious.
Also, can I point out this is our 50th episode?
Yay!
That's incredible. We have only been recording for I think since March of this year. Does that sound right?
Yeah, sounds about right.
So I'm
well, 2 episodes a week.
Yeah.
So
Well, for
What's
the
hap-
most part, sometimes
6
we don't
months.
have time, but
more or less about 6 months, 7 months. Somewhere
I guess that okay, fine. That adds up perfectly
Yeah.
as it should. But anyway, all right, John. I lured you down here for a topic near and dear to my heart. But before we get to that, we have a couple of standard guest questions, and the first one is really important. And there are right and wrong answers on this podcast. So,
I'm sure I'll get it right.
would you prefer drive a slow car quickly, or a quickly car slowly?
Well, I drive E30s, so I think that kind of answers the question.
Nah,
Slow
you
cars
can't.
fast.
Oh, okay, that's the correct answer.
E30 is a slow car. It's just
His-
very,
with
very.
with M20s and
No, I mean
I mean, his M3 is fairly slow, but the 325 is pretty
yeah.
quick.
No, I was gonna say there were very, very slow vehicles that are very, very capable.
Okay.
It's like the Honda Civic of BMW, where it is has no business being as capable as it is.
We make a lot of very bold, sweeping claims, and I stand behind them.
Yes, that is true.
All right, fine. That's the right answer. Second question.
Sweet.
We have something called, I don't know if you actually listen to MotorCult or not outside of this, but about 7
Yes,
months
he does.
ago
That's
now.
the correct answer.
Yes.
Okay, yes, he does.
Every
most
episode.
people actually do.
Diehard fan. In fact, yes, he does, because he pointed out that one of our YouTube episodes does not have any audio in it.
yeah.
Like the day after I uploaded it. Anyway, so last winter I was down in San Diego and found a 1980, I think 4 Mondial, which is a 4-seat hardtop Ferrari. From
Yes,
the early
I'm very
80s.
familiar with that car.
Are you? Because you sounded at the beginning of this episode like you knew nothing about it.
I knew it was a car.
Okay, sounds good. Well, it's a very undesirable, as far as Ferraris are concerned,
Okay.
4-seater hardtop Ferrari.
As far as I'm concerned, it's my favorite Ferrari.
But it originally had a transverse mounted V8 with a transaxle. And this
Okay.
one had no engine or transmission at all. And it was for sale for $6,500. And I really wanted to buy it, but I missed out. So my question to you is, you are not allowed to put the original engine and transmission back in this thing. You're not allowed to cut any sheet metal. So you have to pick an engine that is transverse, so mounted sideways, and no longer than a 4 or V8 cylinder configuration. What are you going to put in that thing?
Man, that is an excellent question.
It's a very loaded
can-
question.
Could you fit a super duper small 6-cylinder?
I don't. You might be able to. I don't think without cutting metal. I was
see,
thinking
like,
the
the
Volvo.
Volvo, yeah.
Yeah, because they have really short transmissions. I think that's how they do it.
Okay.
But I don't know. Okay, fine. Maybe you could put a 5-cylinder in it, but
Well, Volkswagen 2.5.
or the Volvo 2.5s.
It's true.
Or you could just put an S14 in there and then just kind of turn it.
No. But see, you have to. You
have
have
a
to
transmission.
have a transmission that realistically is either available for it or has a commonly available adapter kit for
I'm
it.
sure there's some adapters for that.
No.
Well, no. All right. So
Nobody puts BMW engines on a transverse.
So, John, for reference, I said a rotary engine because I know for a fact that there is a adapter plate that adapts a rotary to a AE 101 Corolla transmission, the mid 90s Corollas.
And I said a 3.3 liter Camry V6 with a factory supercharger and a Solara
They came
manual.
supercharged?
Yeah,
Yeah,
TRD
TRD had an
superchargers.
option for a supercharger, which
Dealer
fits
installed.
in
That's
Toyota
sick.
vans.
And it would be very powerful, very reliable, and cheap.
That just
Unless you have
sounds
oil
sick.
sludge issues, like Gino has.
Whatever. Change the oil once in a
poor
while.
Bandit has.
Oh, whoops, sorry.
Yeah, my poor Sienna has a lot of sludge, and everybody likes to point it out, but I'm like, I know,
Still goes.
still
Still-
goes,
still
it's
works.
fine.
Yep.
And they're like, you should clean the engine, and I'm like, I will, and they're like, not with a garden hose, and I was like, okay, I'm leaving and never coming back.
Yeah. Yep. I was gonna use a power washer full of jelly. So
Exactly.
Power washer full of jelly.
you heard it here first, folks. Power washer full of jelly. All right. Well.
Now we've
what do you-
stalled.
yeah.
What do you want to put into your car?
One of the things that you guys said.
John's no longer allowed back on the show.
Are you gonna
'cause
put
It's okay,
like?
this is my
he
one and
failed-
only time.
He failed the
Are you
question.
gonna put like the old Camry motor in there, the 4-cylinder with the auto from Zach's old car?
Yeah.
Cool. Automatic 5SFE. That's John's swap.
It
I
would
really-
honestly probably be about as quick.
Yeah, probably.
I really
All
wish
right.
we kept that car, though.
Yeah, you
It-
probably should have. It really wasn't that bad.
No. If you slammed the trunk hard enough, it would have probably closed
Oh my
eventually.
Ripping pieces.
Drunk drivers. Thanks for ruining that car.
All right. So, John, we already pretty much spilled the beans that you own E30s. So you've got an 89 325i coupe. Is that right?
Yes, and I have an 88 M3 and now a 87 325i convertible.
Did you make it so all the suspension works now?
Yes.
Is it much better?
It is amazingly better. Like it was laughably like
That was super bad. Yeah, I remember that when you first got it.
I was down here a couple weeks ago, and you could literally just like smush on the front corner a couple times, and it would just like bounce like 1 or 2 times after.
It was like a water.
it was literally a diving board. Like diving board bumpers, and you could go off of those bumpers like
Yeah.
a diving board.
Park it next to a pool. You're gonna have a good time.
Yeah.
Now
Like-
you're gonna have a reasonably poor time, I suppose. But
Yeah.
Anyway,
it's
so-
much nicer.
I'm excited to see what you end up doing with that. I want to see Euro bumpers on it. Obviously, the Euro fascia.
Isn't that like it's that really cool like dark gray with red, right? With the red interior.
It's African American on the outside.
Yeah, it's black and then
Oh, it's black on the outside?
Cardinal.
Yeah,
red.
with the red.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a great color combo. Also, a color combo I think that should make a comeback because I think red interiors look dope.
My first E30 was a convertible, black on red.
Yeah, I think that looks really cool. That's
I agree.
I would much rather see a black on red car than a red on black because everybody's got
yeah.
red and black.
I mean, I have a bunch of red on black.
Yeah, and
you
I don't,
have an abundance of them.
I don't
Yeah.
want any more red cars. Like
Yeah,
I
but it's a
think-
used car. You can't be picky.
That's the thing. That's
well,
why
after a while.
That's why my van is gray because trying to find a Mazda 5 with manual, not gray is just impossible.
Sorry, I'm looking at Hari's Twitch chat.
No, it's fine. Don't worry. Don't
So,
worry
okay,
about that.
all right. I'm not even going to ask anything beyond that because that is my feeble attempt at a segue. This episode is all about the BMW E33 series, which is why I forced you to come down here.
This is the only car I know anything about.
Right. We are kind of the local go-to people when it comes to E30 chassis because we're both just really thoroughly unhealthy people. But to start on this topic, I want to start all the way back at the 1600, the E10, and the 2002 that came after that. That was kind of the first. I'm not going to say the first necessarily because Datsun did a really good job in the late 60s and early 70s bringing reliable, fun, small cars to the world and the masses. But the 2002 was wildly renowned as being one of the first reliable cars you could use every day and still have fun at like track events and hooning the piss out
What year
of.
did that come out?
1967.
Yeah, so that did beat the 510 a little bit.
Yeah, it beat the 510 for sure, but like the 120Y and stuff like that was still pretty fun.
Yeah, well, so like that era, I do really like cars of that era, the kind of sports, sedans of that era, because you had the 2002, you had the 510, you had the Corolla SR5, where they had the Sprinter version,
Yeah.
all the Alpha Giulia sedan. So the car had quite a bit of competition.
Right, but I mean, the only thing that really it was competing with was the Datsun because they're the only
Yeah.
two reliable ones.
No, it's true. Well, even though the Alpha won every race,
Right.
they were all in. Yeah.
But they broke shortly thereafter.
The Renault 8 Gordini as well.
But the 2002 had all the right pieces because it had
Yeah.
the reliability of the Japanese car. It had independent rear suspension, which the Japanese car didn't have at that time.
Yes.
And it just had like a 4-speed manual and it had a 3-speed auto option at the time, which I hope nobody bought. But that car really got BMW out to the masses. But before that, they really weren't selling cars to consumers in this country.
Actually, I think the 2002 also had an Italian design too. I think it was Giovanni Michelotti that did that.
Could be.
I'm
I have
double
no idea.
double checking.
I have
it right
one,
now.
but I have no idea who designed it.
But yeah, BMW definitely advertised that as like a family car that you can have fun with.
And I still have yet to drive one, even though I've owned one for more than a year. But I'm told they're really, really good.
Steve let me drive his red one that has 38 fog lights on the front of
Oh
it.
yeah, and it's got the
38
smoothie
fog
steelies
lights.
or whatever. Yeah, it's got a lot. It's kind of looks like it's the early version of what I would do with light bars, basically. And I don't know, but so after that car got updated a whole bunch of times and ended its production in 1976,
Yes, it was Giovanni Michelotti that
they replaced it with the first 3 series. So they actually brought out the naming moniker 320. That was the first 3 series. They carried over the engine from the 2002. They carried over a lot of the suspension, but they added a lot of weight to it, and they kind of reduced the overall sharpness. And I think that kind of gave the car a little bit of a bad rap. And unfortunately, it was also released 2 years before the fuel crisis in our country. So, I mean, the cars were pretty economical. They came with the 2-liter 4-cylinder originally, but the design was pretty ahead of its time. And I think the E21, although it had a pretty short run, I think it went 78 to 83. It's actually pretty well liked by people that own them, but it's kind of a victim of being trapped between 2 of the best cars of all time, basically.
It was 75 to 83 with continuation in Malaysia.
Started production in 75, so 76 was the first model year, but we didn't get them until 77 or 78. And I guess I should clarify in this episode, a lot of the information that we're talking about now and going forward is U.S. specification stuff.
Yes, we should.
Because if
specify
we
that.
get to the worldwide spec stuff, it gets way, way too confusing.
It's like when we eventually do an EF Civic episode, and it's just going to be.
I'm going to force you to distill the shit out of that
Yeah,
one.
that's
going to take like 3 hours.
It'll
otherwise.
be as long as this could potentially be.
Part 1, JDM. Part 2, USDM.
Part 3, UKDM. Part 4, Scottish domestic market.
Like, and then there could be like a USDM, JDM, back to USDM. Like, it's really
There's too many domestic markets.
We've
yeah,
gotten too
it's
far.
really
Anyway, so
levels.
let's reel it back in because I'm sorry I'm hijacking your German car episode with Japanese crap.
Oh, it's just E30. A German car episode would also take way too long. But
Yes, that's true.
Yeah.
So alongside the introduction of the E21 in our country, the E30 was actually being designed. So the final design actually ended in 1978, and it was shelved until 1979 when it was approved. And then, of course, we didn't see production cars until late 1982 for the 83 model year. But people saw leaked images of the E30 design when the E21 was on sale, even when it was brand new.
Did you know that Paul Barak, the guy that designed the E21, also designed like all the Pope mobiles until he died?
Even the Mercedes G-Wagon?
I don't know when he died. Or actually, he might still be alive. But yeah, he's done a bunch of Pope mobiles.
So I think what they need to do is get a really nice 323i and turn that into the next Pope mobile.
Yes, I concur.
I would, yeah.
I think that makes good sense. So anyway, skipping right ahead to 1983, we didn't actually get the car until 84. But anyway, the E30 was a digitized model. I think it wasn't the first car to do this, but they actually had they had a 3-axis micrometer where they would touch like millions of points on this car, and it would record it in data tapes. So it actually was a computerized model.
I just
even if it
closed the
wasn't-
fucking internet. God damn it.
God damn it. Even if it wasn't CAD like the E36, but the car had really, really good crash protection for its day. Now, of course, it's just a complete death trap, and of course, they didn't have airbags at the beginning. Oh, no. Oh, God,
That's
no.
a lot of noise. Why did you not turn your noise off?
Sorry, I'm playing this really, that's actually kind of a short but really cool E30 history
Boots?
video.
Need boots?
Yeah, boot ad, apparently. I don't have ad block on this thing, so. Yep, so, God damn it.
Amateur hour.
I don't know. The E30 was a really, really high-tech car for its time. It seems really absurd to think that now, just looking back on it. The car has, like, no tech in it. Like, ooh, cool, it's got power windows.
No, but if you compare that to Mercedes 190, like
Yeah.
mechanically,
They're
like
pretty
that is
similar.
well, I mean, electronic fuel injection. And shit
Yeah,
like that. Like,
E30 was so electronic,
Yeah.
and the 190 was still very much vacuum and,
Well,
mechanical.
I think a lot of people they'll compare the E30 because the E30 was made for so long. They compare it to cars from the late 80s.
Yeah.
And you have to understand the 80s, the changes that happened in the 80s. Like, if you saw two cars, like, mechanically, you did not see the bodywork on them.
Yeah.
You would think one car was from 20 years prior. Like, there's a massive quantum leap. That's why I love cars from
Remember
the
the
80s so
Rover
much.
SD1?
Yeah. But, I mean, like, I think for people that aren't as well-versed in BMW,
Yeah.
comparing the E30 electronically, you can't compare it to, a later model 190 or like even a CA Accord. You have to compare it to, honestly, like a Chevette or
I would
something
compare
like
it to like 1990s Japanese cars. I mean, there were.
Well, I mean, when you're saying in technology, like to think of what the average car came with at that point in time, like the Chevette really was kind of what you had. Like you had a carburetor, you had maybe an automatic transmission, you had an AC that sort of worked, and then you had
a very high cost option AC.
Yeah, exactly. And if you're really lucky, you got a tape deck or an 8-track player. But
That
this
sounds
one,
really
like,
dreary, dull, and terrible.
yeah, it does, doesn't it? But when you get into E30, like 1982 or early 83, I guess.
I mean, yeah, for
E30s,
the sake of what we're talking about, I'm kind of starting with 84 because that was our first real model year. But I mean, yeah, that car, I mean, it had the optional 2.7 liter straight six. So that was actually pulled out of the 5 Series efficiency model from 82.
Yeah.
But I mean, that thing had a full trip computer with like range, average fuel economy. It had like a conditional based oil service monitor on it. It would tell you when your car needed inspections and things like that.
That's
Obviously,
huge.
it had things like power
Had a
windows.
clock.
It had a clock. It had an outside
Amazing.
temperature button thing, so you could see how cold it was outside.
That's super rad,
I
actually.
mean, it had just tons of tech in it. It had a little panel in the top that would
Yeah,
tell you
I
when a
remember- I
taillight
know
bulb
those,
was
yeah.
out. They don't work.
yeah, none of them ever.
Your taillights are always out, and you're always out of engine oil, apparently. But
No, Subaru had that, but it was only on the highest trim level GL10 in like 1986.
right,
And that was, on a car that cost $30,000 over what their basic asking price is.
right. Like, do you want 2 base cars, or do you want one of these?
Yeah, basically.
Okay,
Whereas
cool.
like the E30 just came with that.
Right. I mean, they did sell us a 318, but they weren't popular. I mean, people
That's
paid the
true.
little extra money to get.
But
the,
even then, you got like
it was all
Yeah.
optional at that point. Like the early 318s we got were actually pretty close to Euro cars, and they had drum rear brakes. They didn't have factory air conditioning. I mean, you could buy it, but it wasn't like a standard thing.
Yeah.
And you could get them with crank windows.
I think it's another thing we should mention is the fact that so many of them come with rear disc.
Yeah,
That's
almost
huge.
every one of them came with factory AC, full power windows. The thing you just said,
Yeah,
which I
rear
just
discs.
forgot about that.
Yep.
Rear
Yeah.
discs,
Another thing when I look at
full
E30,
toolkit.
yeah,
I mean,
when you get to an E30, like it has the same amount of kit that my Cressida has. And my Cressida at that point in time was like one of the
a
most
luxury
advanced.
car.
Yeah, it was one of the
Yeah.
most advanced Japanese cars we had in the market. Mm-hmm. And that's just it's a massive quantum leap. And I think when a lot of people say that BMW used to be, driver friendly only, it was just a driver's car, you really have to put this into context that they still were at the cutting edge of tech in
Oh, yeah.
1982, 3, 4, and 5.
yeah, I wasn't alive at that time, but I mean, things were pretty ahead of their time in this car.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, I can't even imagine the little instantaneous fuel economy needle like on the gauge cluster, like seeing that in 1983
Yeah,
and being like,
blow your
what
mind.
the hell is this?
Not the most accurate thing, but still, it's cool.
Yeah, I mean, it was okay. I mean,
works.
it worked
Yeah.
in Blau 30. I drove that thing with the 2.7 for a couple of years, and like it wasn't that far off. It gave you an idea of
That's
like
pretty
what to
cool.
compare it to. But yeah,
How does that actually work?
It takes the ground signal from the number 6 fuel injector, and
Oh,
it
right.
just measures the pulse length. That's all it
And
does.
it just
And it does math. Because I mean,
that's cool.
it
Science.
assumes a fixed temperature, and it assumes a constant fuel pressure, and it can actually get pretty close with that. That's how the onboard computer thing works.
Oh,
too.
okay, yeah.
So I could actually wire that in to work with the S54, but it wouldn't be calibrated properly because it's calibrated for a 19-pound fuel injector
Okay.
at 43.5 psi.
I would just do it just because it'll move.
It might work. I mean, it runs 90 psi
Wait,
fuel pressure.
are you talking
now.
about your M3?
Yeah.
That's not in your cluster. It's not an M3 cluster.
Oh,
That's
but
right,
I
'cause
could make the
there's oil.
OBC work for the
Yes.
fuel economy thing.
Do you still have an OBC in that?
I do. I should probably get that out of there.
Analog clocks, man.
I know. I think I have one, but like I don't know where it. Oh, it's in my basement. Okay, I'll put an analog clock in there next to my 2 perfect 6-button onboard computers, which are now gold.
So being the only person here that hasn't owned an E30, shockingly,
Jana also hasn't.
well, yeah, whatever. Good point. She said 3 words this entire episode.
Welcome back, by the way. It was good to hear about your van trip to Milwaukee.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. It was super fun.
Excellent.
I
I'm gl-
remember all of it.
I'm glad you cleared the cold or whatever you had.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. It was
I have
really
got the
bad
cold now.
allergies.
But
Same.
all my references, just because of all of my cars, the only car I have that really keeps up with the E30, I think, and as far as tech, would be my 86 Super GL10 and my
Which is
my
running
Cressida.
currently, right?
Yes.
Okay. Both of them?
Sure.
Okay, cool. Sorry, that was a low blow.
One runs, one drives. Put them together, you got a running, driving car.
There we go.
Mazda 5, how we love you.
Yeah, that one's reliable.
Anyway, back to the first intro year of the E30. When these things first started coming on the scene for reviewers like John Davis to do their initial reviews on, everyone was praising the thing for how well made it was, how good the styling was, and how well it drove. And these are all things we still find today. I mean, that's why they're so desirable. And, I mean, the build quality really has stood the test of time. I mean, most of these things just got beat to death, and, I mean, a lot of them are still around.
Yeah,
I've driven a lot of really shitty ones, and they still drive better than okay American cars.
Like, even
of
John's
today.
Ver, like, I can't speak to it because I didn't drive it when it was all blown up, but, like, I've driven a bunch of clapped out E30s, and they're still
was-
a bunch of fun.
Yeah, like it's still fun to drive, but when you're going on the highway and there's no bumps on the highway, but you're still just going up and down, it's just like we should probably refresh that
I
suspension.
think that's like a whole subculture. They do that with, like, hydraulics, so you could have just put some
So-
air rods in that thing.
You know, my question is, Mazda, they do factory restorations for the Miata. Why doesn't BMW do that for the E30?
I bet they might at some point. The Jaguar does that too.
Yeah.
And yeah, I think the first ever Miata factory restore just happened.
Yeah, it just
on an
finished,
NA.
yeah.
Yeah, it's a gorgeous car. I think it was even that blue color that looks so nice.
It was British Racing Green, actually.
Oh, was it? Okay.
Yep.
But anyway, BMW has, I forget what the sub thing is called. It's where you buy all, like, the vintage parts from. They do the reproduction runs.
They
Classic.
do that as well?
Classic something.
Because Mercedes does that.
Mercedes is a lot better
Yeah.
with
Like the
with
corner
parts.
markers for the E30 M3, they're made by this BMW Classic Reproductions. I forget the name of it, though. But there is an entire subgroup in BMW that just remakes old classic parts.
That's fantastic.
So, I mean, those people could easily fully refurb an E30.
That's really cool.
But the thing
hey,
is,
Subaru, you should do that.
there are so many people out there that specialize in restoring vintage German cars, and they do it so well.
Yeah.
In some cases, better than the factory. I don't really know if there's demand for it.
Yeah.
Because there's that workshop place out of Chicago that does a lot of 2002s.
Okay.
And they also do E30s. And they make them, like, better than factory original. Just gorgeous, beautiful cars.
That's fantastic.
Yeah, I think the main problem though is just there's so many parts that sometimes you can't get. So
Right.
that's the problem. So like
is the
if
issue.
BMW did do something where, they would restore the cars, that would be
What
That'd be
have you
amazing.
guys found is the hardest part to find? Because for me, like with my cars, it's like weather stripping and like weird shit
It
like that.
depends on the E30. If we're talking specifically the M3, there's a bunch of stuff. But I would say anything S14 related, the engine.
Yeah, the whole
Yeah.
engine.
yeah, I think they're still making like normal engine blocks like 2.3, but like the 2.5 motors, like tons of stuff for that. I don't think they're really making anymore. Everyone's hoarding the parts. Like,
Weird.
there's
We would
people-
never do that.
There's people with a lot more money than probably all
John,
of us
do you
here.
hoard parts? I don't.
Not the super expensive. Like, I don't have Evo 3 blocks just sitting in my basement.
I don't either. I just have Evo 3 dead pedals.
I think if I posted pictures of the basement, like all the owners of E30s
People
would
would
come and murder
They
you.
would come rob me.
That's true.
They wouldn't murder me. They would just rob me.
Yeah, your basement looks like Fort Knox. Yeah.
Well, yeah, it was like 5 sets of StarTech sitting next to 7 Evo 3 dead pedals and a bunch of interior clocks, and I've got like 3 or 4 E30 M3 clusters down there.
See, Honda people, they did that, but they did it to a point with Civics that it killed the car. Because it was, Honda had no intention of ever coming back to it. And what the thing was, is people were hoarding the parts.
Yeah.
And it was kind of like what's the diamond company, Dubois or something?
No idea.
Yeah, it's like that company that hoards diamonds in Europe, and they just crank
Oh,
up
De Beers.
De Beers, yeah.
Yeah.
And they just crank up the price
Yeah,
of diamonds artificially.
That's
yeah.
how E30 M3 markets work. But also, those cars are worth a shit ton of money.
Yeah,
so
and
people are willing to pay.
Yeah, and that's the thing. It's like, whereas like with the Honda community, like these are still relatively cheap cars.
right, and that's why it doesn't work. In
Yeah,
your
no,
case.
it doesn't work in that. And with BMWs, it really makes sense, I guess, because you're
Yeah.
also it's like it's rich douchebags ripping off rich douchebags at this point.
Correct.
With a lot of like old school E30 owners, like your traditional E30 owner that just like a good car, getting caught in the crossfire.
Yes and no. Standard E30s don't have the parts that are hard to find for M3s though installed on them. So the
That's
only
true.
case you're really killing a standard E30.
It's just the M3 that has this issue.
Pretty much.
Okay.
Not always. If you have an iX, which we'll get to a little later, same problem as the E30 M3, and they're cheap like the Civics. So
Yeah.
that's the same thing as what you're talking about.
Okay.
Where those cars are just like, if you own one and it's not like perfect, you're
screwed.
fucked. I mean, I also hoard iX parts because I deliberately kill those cars because they're terrible. But
I've driven one versus another M3.
Well,
I get what you're saying.
I mean,
No, no,
E30?
E30.
Yeah,
I'm sorry.
standard E30s are much better.
It is much better, but I would still say that the iX versus anything else
Yeah.
will hold quite the candle.
Oh yeah, it's a really good car if you're not comparing it to the way better rear-wheel drive E30.
Yeah, that's exactly
Like
what
if
it
you're
is.
comparing that to an Audi 90 or something, you're like, oh my god, who would ever buy the Audi?
I ask myself that every day.
Exactly.
I think the bad thing with M3s in particular is just like the body panels.
Oh
Like,
god.
Like if your engine blows up, you can always put you can put an S54, you can put an M52. People will hate you if you do that.
I
Or
bought my
some
car with
people
an
will.
M52 and I lightly fixed it to an S54.
Yes. But yeah, like I feel like the main thing I worry about with the M3 is just like if someone hits me in the wrong spot of the car, I cannot fix it. Like the parts are not available.
Like the rear quarters or something.
You
or-
can find those, but you have to get it from somebody that just happens to have one.
Yeah.
Because they're not made anymore, obviously.
Rear bumpers are really tough too.
I feel like
Rear
somebody.
bumpers are tough. Rear glass is almost
I
impossible.
feel like there's somebody that would make them so like people could just like convert like an E30.
I'm
and
sure
just
it'll
do, like
happen.
massive hacking.
They do
Yeah.
that. They
Yeah.
make full fiberglass overlays for standard E30s with the roof and like the Lexan rear glass. So like you could make one look like it, but it wouldn't be the original nice fitting parts.
I
'Cause
would,
they're
I would
designed to
probably
overlay
take
on
that
an
rear
E30.
bumper, the original bumper off, and put on the cheap remake. 'Cause
Well,
that's a lot.
Well,
of people,
that's why you insure the car properly. I
That-
mean,
that's
kinda
true.
what it comes
you
down
need
to.
an agreed value policy on
that's
these things now.
that's another thing is with going back to the Honda community.
Yeah.
A lot of people that had, have Civics with like Mugen body kits that are put on an Arrow because you could buy them for a short period of time in the late 80s and early 90s.
Yeah.
They've taken them off and they've begun using the remanufactured. I think Straussman or something makes them, which look like almost the same.
But you're not
they're-
worried
they're-
about ruining it?
Yeah, but like if you break it, like, oh well, I'm just gonna go buy another one off the internet.
Well, it's like the StarTech taillights in my M3. I mean, I've got like a mint set of those taillights on there. When
Those
I
look
bought
amazing,
them,
yeah.
I mean, they were great, but I paid like $650 for those taillights when I bought them
Yeah, and
originally.
you could buy them a lot cheaper than that. Like if you go back further.
Right, but I mean, I bought them when they were still coming up, and like that's a super nice set, and I really should take them off because they're worth about twice that now. But I also like how they look on the car. I guess I could put a worse set on there.
Yeah.
I have several worse condition sets.
Although, one other thing that I want to point out before I forget too is
Please do.
BMW is also not being the greatest brand with how they will not allow some parts to be sold in the United States.
Oh, yeah, that's
I think that's worth mentioning too.
that's a really good point.
There's some parts, and
If you do not have a Euro VIN, you cannot buy certain parts.
there are some parts that are for American cars. When you look up the part number in the
Yep.
application, it'll show an American car, but BMW will still not sell it to you.
So you need to have a connection overseas, and luckily we have a couple of those. In fact, shout out to Steve at Blunt Tech. He's got a connection, and then there's also a guy I use up in Reykjavik, I think, which is a pain, but he's very reasonable. I think he's able to do it so reasonably just because he doesn't really do fast shipping. He just sort of works it into
Yeah.
a bulk shipment, and then he can get it to you. But I had to buy so when I did the turbo swap on Brexit, I had to buy a Euro right-hand drive 5 Series wagon throttle cable.
Yeah.
Can't buy those unless you got a VIN for a Euro 525i. I didn't have that.
You didn't? Seriously?
No, so I bought it through Blunt Tech because he's got a connection overseas that could find a VIN for one of these cars and just buy it because it's not blacklisted. You can just go to a parts department and buy one of those in Finland.
This just seems so ridiculous.
It's frustrating
I
sometimes.
feel like if that were to happen in the Japanese car community,
Yeah.
they would just there'd be like some guy that's just like awesome. Is like, hey, here's a VIN for my, right-hand drive Corolla SR5. Now you guys can all go to Toyota and buy this part.
BMW also blacklists VINs sometimes for people that do things like that.
BMW can suck my dick. Fuck that.
So yeah, now that you know that happens, but yeah,
Oh, we were supposed to be
Being M3
we were supposed to be non-explicit.
Oh.
I totally blew that out of the water.
yeah, I forgot.
I'm
We
so
did
sorry.
actually drop the explicit tag just because we don't actually swear all that much on the show, so we decided to try to cut it out entirely
PG-13.
and reach more people.
And
so.
then this one now's gonna get
PG-13,
explicit.
it's fine.
You get one F-bomb.
We get one
used
pair
it.
of tits, one F-bomb, whatever it is. But anyway, yeah, it's not that uncommon for a manufacturer to do things like this, but I kind of, I'm not going to say I like it that way for the E30 M3, but it kind of keeps it more exclusive and a little, I don't know. I wish the parts were available, but just really expensive.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, I love the car, and, like, both of our cars are in pretty good shape now, so it just doesn't matter to me.
Yeah, and as far as value goes, it's probably also worth mentioning Enthusiast Auto too, because they played a huge role as far as like pushing E30 prices up so fast. I think eventually
Yeah.
they would have got there.
Yeah.
Enthusiast Auto.
Enthusiast Auto Group out of
Yeah,
it's
EAG.
Ohio?
What is that?
So it's basically it's just a BMW classic sort of dealership. They started buying up E30 M3s and reselling them, and now
But they're very selective.
they will basically only buy like cars with original panels. Like I feel like that's a requirement for a car that they sell.
Oh, really?
And they try for really low mileage, and they try for rare color combos.
Yeah, and a lot of people hate them, and some people can understand it. I'm a little bit in the middle. Like I don't know. I like that they made my car worse so much, but I also wish I could buy
In their
another one.
position, I would do the same thing, though.
Yeah, you can't really blame them they're running a business and
They have really great taste in cars. I mean, they buy
Yes.
like low mile E91s, they buy like 1 Series M's, they buy Z8s, they buy
Yep.
rare E39 M5, E46 M3, slick tops, stuff like that. I mean, they really do have good taste in cars. And if you want a clean, no questions asked turnkey car, and you have the money, which a lot of people do, I mean, EAG is a great option.
yeah.
I'm not plugging them, but there you go.
Yeah, this is not a plug for AG.
No,
Don't give them their money.
No,
there were
find a
some-
car elsewhere, but
There's some Japanese auto importers that are kind of like that in America, but yeah, it's just it's one of those things where we don't get it as bad yet because
right.
of course I have to say yet because it's take 5 to
Everyone
10,
gets
Yeah.
their
5 to 10 years and every rich douchebag will find one. So
God, you sound like death with that cold, by the way.
yeah, I do. Well, I'm also kind of okay with that right now because I really just do not like rich douchebags because it's kind of ruin everything.
Sorry.
If you are a rich douchebag, screw you.
I spent all of yesterday flying to a different state just to help buy a Lamborghini Murcielago. So
Well, no. I mean, there's a rich douchebag, and then there's just like rich people. There's two different things. The rich douchebag is the guy.
can I just be a douchebag?
Yeah, you can also be just a normal douchebag.
Wonderful. Let's get back to E30s
Just go
then.
get yourself a real tree sweatshirt.
All right. I'm getting back to E30s just because we have to actually talk about this stuff
Yeah,
because I
sorry,
really
yeah,
like these
yeah.
cars. So after the critical acclaim, whatever. Yeah. So domestic market cars for the United States, we didn't get the full fat, unadulterated version. We got sealed beam DOT headlights. We got a slightly different set of headlight grills that didn't partially obscure the top part of the lens because per DOT law, you need to have a fully unobstructed headlight lens.
Ooh.
We got really big DOT reflectors on the corners of the cars, which
Ooh.
BMW actually did a pretty nice job integrating.
Yeah, I will say they did a really good job on that.
And we got the diving board bumpers, which are
Ooh.
those gigantic metal aluminum 5-mile-an-hour crash bumpers, which you see on every car post 74, basically.
Yeah.
And you look at a Euro E30 early
looks
model
really
versus
good.
an American early
Yeah,
E30.
So much better.
Not even close. So that's what John's planning to do in his convertible is
I
swap
think
to the Euro bumpers.
the only two cars that are on par with the E30 with that would be the Mercedes R107 SL.
That is so terrible with those
That
crash
is
bumpers.
really bad. And then like the Countach when they first put the crash bumpers on those.
I think the W116 Mercedes S-Class also wears those really poorly.
That one looks awful. But yeah, the
Yeah.
E30 is like definitely in that top 5.
We should do, not on this episode, but a segment of like the cars that did the crash bumpers the best.
I think we mentioned it, but
We've done it a couple times.
yeah.
We had the Countach and like the Pantera integrated them really well.
later on, but the early ones are awful.
Porsche did a pretty good job.
Actually, I think the safety bumper 930 looks great. That's
Yeah.
one of my favorite Porsches.
Yeah.
Anyway, sorry for
Nope, that's fine. So those were the 3 main changes. I mean, there were more things and there's subtle variations, and like we didn't get warning triangles in the trunk with our toolkits and stuff like that. But those are the
wait.
main.
Why would we not get that?
Because it's not a Euro regulation in the United States. Euro regulation at the time, every car sold needed to have a warning triangle in the trunk. And I have one in my trunk, but I
Yeah,
had to
you do.
find it
I've
and buy it.
I've seen so many of them. I just thought they were.
And first aid kit too.
And first aid kits, yes, that was also a mandate, which is why you see them in factory in Mercedes and BMWs at the time.
That's true, and actually
mean,
probably makes sense.
They
why
should have had like a BMW high-vis vests. I would have just worn that out on the town. That would have been pretty sweet.
Those things would be worth so much right now.
Remember
Probably
those-
worth more than those little tiny blue little cloths.
Or the red handle screwdrivers.
Yeah.
Oh my God. Remember that one time at Cars and Coffee, the dude had his trunk and his toolkit open with
Yes.
red handle
It
screwdrivers?
was a complete toolkit, which is
I never
rare.
touched somebody's car, but we closed his toolkit and his trunk because those screwdrivers are worth like $600 or $700 a piece.
Yeah, just a lot of trunk
Maybe he had him.
toolkits.
Maybe he had him like glued down.
He did not.
He's sitting with a rifle.
Yeah, we looked around. It's like someone watching over this because they really should be.
So yeah, that was. I'm sure John's with me on this, but I would never touch somebody's car at a car show. But
Yeah, anyone who knows the value of those, the 2 screwdrivers, and then he had the blue cloth thing
cloth.
too. Like just tiny little blue cloth with a BMW symbol on it. They're so. You don't even see
Bananas.
them for
you can't,
sale
You
anymore.
can't buy them if you want one. Yeah.
No.
I can't even think of anything that's like that on a Honda. I think
And
the
it-
closest thing is like a Mugen shift knob that's worth like $150.
And also
ludicrous.
the M3 spark plug tool until fairly recently.
Yes.
Because that is one part that BMW actually started making again. So up until I think about 2 years ago, a decent spark plug tool is worth $450.
Yeah.
And you
And-
could buy them brand new for like $67 when they brought them back.
Yeah, and that kind of that reminds me of M3 side markers as well.
Yep, they brought those back too, thank God, because I actually needed one for Afro.
I remember, I think I told you, I was like, dude, I think they're making spark plug tools again. And then you had like a few.
I
And you're
sold
like,
them.
Oh, you like sold them real quick
Made 'em
before
real
the
I
news
made
got out.
really good money on them. Then I ended up buying like 7 brand new ones afterward.
Yeah,
I have a bag full of
That's hilarious.
E30 M3 brand
just
new
wait for them to
spark
go
plug
out
tools.
again, and then
Yeah, I
money,
sold like my
profit.
damaged ones. Like I had a couple with like superficial cracks or corrosion. I sold them for like $350 a piece. And like the last one I sold, the dude realized after he paid me that he could get a brand new one again, and he tried to like return it. I'm like,
Nope.
Yeah,
sorry,
sorry.
as is, man.
That's
Yeah.
hilarious.
I'm like, oh wow, that's
Thank
cool.
God.
I should go
Thank
buy
God
some.
Thank God you got that out there.
although leave it to like old M3 owners that will be like, the stamping is slightly different on these new tools.
We
They
looked
are
'em over.
inferior.
Yep.
And they are identical.
Yeah, I
There
couldn't
is-
notice any difference, and I'm picky
Honda
with
people are
that
the
stuff.
same way. Mugen duraluminum, the quote unquote dildo knob, that the most famous Mugen shift knob. There
What does it look
is-
like?
It looks like a dildo.
Okay, cool.
It looks. It kind of looks like. It looks like one of the little tiny little metal bullet dildos with the little vibrator in it. Yeah.
That's extremely graphic.
Thank you for the
but not
explanation.
explicit, so that's
Yeah,
good.
no, it's not. But that one, there is a extremely good reproduction that I've seen that comes from China, where everything looks the same. Somebody went like put one on like a CAD machine. It turns out like, the Mugen logo is like a 0.5 millimeter too low, and then the chamfering on the edge of the ribbing on it. The chamfering on the edge of the ribbing on it is like off by like a couple degrees.
Yeah,
And then when you do fully screw it in,
worthless.
like maybe 1 out of 10 is the Mugen logo is 5 degrees off of center.
Thread locker.
Yeah, it's just
That's what I need to do
it's
on the
really
fajita.
funny.
Yeah, there are 100% people out there that they're very good, even like original replicas, not even replicas, but reproduction.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, these
I mean,
are
it makes
still
sense.
by
I mean-
BMW too, and it's
Yeah.
just like ever so slightly different.
I'm to be honest, I'm okay with that because I have an original Mugen aluminum shift knob for
Right.
my
Oh, yeah.
for my Civic. So I'm like, cool. I found this one for like $110. I had somebody immediately offer me $300 for it. I'm like, I'm gonna keep this.
Yep, that's a sign that you should probably not sell it.
Yeah, that's a sign.
We
Put it
had
away.
to put a beer koozie around it because we'd see people like eyeing it. So we have this nifty little. It's like a snap-on
Yeah,
bracelet.
yeah.
but
Fiat
a
gave it to us.
koozie.
Yeah.
I don't know who gave it to us.
It was
but we
Fiat.
got a snap-on koozie. That's terrible when your cans aren't full because it will crush the can. But
Oh,
it's great for covering dildo shift knobs.
So
very
there you
nice.
go.
Probably
If you-
keeps it nice and cool at car shows in the summer too.
It actually works great. Yeah, because I always have to go like that, like use like two fingers and like
Yeah.
just burn the shit out of my thumb.
That sounds like the steam train going by.
Janet, go outside and look at
Oh,
this train.
I
This is
guess
the
I
cool
gotta
one.
confirm.
I hope it's the steam train. You can just move the.
Yeah, there is a steam train that goes by.
It's not a steam train.
It isn't?
Nope. It's
Oh.
cargo.
Well, Jan
Oh,
will still be excited. She likes trains.
fair enough.
Trains are cool.
Anyway, back to E30s again.
She's,
Oh, yeah, we're getting a
she's
little-
smiling a lot.
Okay,
right now.
so I'm gonna
What's this about?
we've gone over kind of the changes that they've initially went through with DOT and getting them into this country, but I kind of want to go year by year and breakdowns on kind of what the milestones were that changed for these cars. So 84 was our first model year. We saw that come with the 1.8 liter carryover engine from the 2002 and the E21 3 Series, so the M10 V18 4-cylinder. Then we also got the 2.7 liter super, or actually no, just regular ADA ETA, which is the Greek version of ADA, which means efficiency. So this was
Sounds right.
It had 5 cam bearings instead of 7. And it had single valve springs. It had a really long stroke and a small bore, so it was a really torquey engine. It has a very diesel-like power delivery, but it also had early Motronic 1.0 fuel injection, so it was actually really damn efficient, even though it used high impedance injectors and stuff like that. We also saw the introduction of the Getrag 260 5-speed manual transmission, which carried out through the entire rest of the production of the E30 line in the rear wheel and all-wheel drive applications. And those are both carryovers from the 52080 a couple of years prior. And then, of course, we saw the introduction of the check control, the computerized oil service and onboard diagnostic computer system. 85, we saw the removal of the seatbelt warning light pod on the dashboard, which I've only ever seen 2 of in person. They're really ugly. Corey's E30 actually has a dash from an 84 in it, so it has that pod, which is really weird.
What's it? Can you get a picture of that?
No, actually, because I can't find any pictures of it.
Yeah, Corey, next time I'm at your house, I have to take a look at that.
Take
I'm
pictures.
curious.
It's in the
It's the
center of the
same.
dash by the windshield. It's like a trapezoidal pod that just has an indicator for. I've only seen 2 cars in my entire life.
That actually
have
sounds
that.
kind of cool.
Wait.
All right, so this is the difference between E30 and Honda because it is a
Yeah.
Honda thing. Like
Yeah.
those dashboards would be worth gold.
I don't know if anyone knows that these exist.
That's
Like,
funny.
yeah,
I've had a lot of these.
Someone just listed a dashboard on Facebook, MN BMW, with no cracks. But then I was looking because they were only selling it for like $200. I'm like, that's a really good deal. And I look, and they had. I'm pretty sure it must have been a really early model that had that there because I saw like weird
right,
holes
right in
drilled
the
into
center.
it. Yeah.
yeah, that's probably an 84 dash.
I feel like
Jeez.
that dashboard pod would probably look really tight if you put like a boost gauge in it.
Yeah, it's maybe big enough for like a digital boost gauge.
Yeah,
actually,
if you put like a digital boost
it's
gauge,
really
behind-
ugly though. Like it's really ugly.
Does it match the body lines? of, like-
Yeah, kinda.
Yeah, so I
It's,
think
it's a trapezoid. You'd probably love it.
yeah, I totally would. No, like I'm imagining this in my head, and I'm like a big fan.
It's exactly what
Big
it's
fan.
described. Yeah, you would love it. It looks like a 70s van basically on your dashboard.
Perfect. I don't see what a problem is.
Although there are a lot of, I see a lot of people when they put like boost gauges or just gauges in general in
Yeah.
E30s. It's usually in the central console, like under the radio.
Oh, I hate that. Yeah. I don't
Or
like that.
I see them on the.
No, because
A-pillar, too.
that's where
I
your
did the
that's where your
dash-
graphic equalizer goes.
I did the dash vent center replacement thing on Brexit.
Like
so
how could you possibly put gauges there if you have your graphic equalizer? Do you want your stereo to sound like shit?
it's going to anyway. It's an E30. Actually, that's not true.
Yeah,
Stereos
the
sound okay.
stereos actually sound pretty good.
They're not too bad. Wow. Yeah. On Brexit, I did. There's a guy on eBay that makes a plate. It's like a laser cut plate that lets you put 3 gauges in where the factory center vents go on the dash.
It can be really clean.
So my cousin Nikki, if she is listening, hey, first name drop. She had a Mark II. She had a Mark II Golf, and she had a voltage meter that actually was probably the coolest voltage meter I've ever seen in my life. Fit perfectly within the factory dead dead switch spots.
Mm-hmm.
And it had like all the same finish on it, same ABS plastic. But you know how they'll have them so like when like the lights are off, it'll just like a normal dead switch. This one was like that, but when you turn it on, the voltage meter would shine through it.
Oh,
It
weird.
was super cool. I've never seen another one in my life.
I like when people take the initiative to make the little things look stock.
Yeah.
I actually bought back right when I bought Mr. Wags, there's a company that makes a left side vent replacement where half of it's a vent and the other half is like a really, really nice looking LCD with the right colors. It attached to the dimmer so it would dim to the right level in the car and all that. But it only worked with 08 plus 3 Series, and mine's an 07.
That's so
it's just
stupid.
like apparently they changed like a bunch of electronics in the 08 model year. Anyway, it doesn't matter. But I really,
I was gonna say, I think there's a company making those for E30s too that kind of
Yeah.
mimic, because E30 Alpinas came with kind of gauges in the vents.
oh really?
Yeah,
I didn't know that.
But yeah,
I
that's
was gonna say my plate doesn't look stock, but it looks fine.
a lot of things I would otherwise do to my car have been ruined by gauges like Nikki's. So like I'm just like,
Yeah.
I can't compete with this.
Right.
This is the coolest gauge I've ever seen in my life.
Your gauge pod versus the gauge pod she tells you not to worry about.
Yeah, exactly. Like shit, I can't deal with that.
Mhm, exactly.
But anyway, let's
Yep,
push through.
85. So the removal of that warning pod, and then this is probably not even worth mentioning, but they also reduced the size of the crank bolt from 27 to 22 millimeters, which is how it carried out the rest of the M20's
Why?
lifespan.
Did you have to look that up, or do
No,
you just know
I
from
just know that
experience?
because it really pissed me off the first time I had to go buy a 27 millimeter socket to do a timing belt.
Why would they even use that? Why don't they just use a 22?
No idea. But the
Every-
22 is way better.
Every car I've ever seen in my life, the crank bolt is the same size as the lug nut.
Oh, BMWs have never been that way.
Yeah, every single one has been. Well, I guess it's Honda versus Toyota, but yeah, like almost every single one I've worked on. Like the crank bolt's been the same size. It's been very convenient.
Well, I have not had that convenience.
Well, you should drive 1980s Japanese vehicles.
All right.
Get new lug bolts.
I'm going to go to 1986 now because holy shit.
You need to speed through the 80s so Ryan can't talk about it.
Well,
That'll
yeah.
be the entire car.
it's like, I remember 1986.
Let's talk about the 90
So-
and 91. Yeah.
In 86, they took those mandated corner reflector lights and they reduced the size of them tremendously. And it's actually, it looks way better. And they carried through all the way through E34s into 1995, so that design held up really well. They added a third brake light because of DOT regulations. And then they introducced the ES model for the 325E.
Wait, they added the brake light in 87?
86.
86, okay.
Yep. So they introduced the 325 ES, which had standard sport seats, 13-button trip computer, optional leather interior, deck lid spoiler, LSD, big front air dam, and premium sound. And then the 318i model was dropped in the United States. So you only had one option for an E30 in 1986, and it was a 325E. But you could get it with the S
And I
if you
think-
wanted a super sport.
Wait, what?
Yeah, 86 was only 325E.
So you couldn't get a limited slip
Sure, you could.
as an option?
It's standard on the ES.
I thought the ES was the.
Anything with
I
an
thought
S.
I thought the IS was the one with the limited slip.
That's the same car, but one of them has a 2.7 with the low power, and one of
Yeah.
them's the IS comes a year after.
Okay, yeah, we'll talk about that in a second.
But on every E30, it was like a $150 checkbox option for an LSD
That'd be so
when
worth.
you bought it.
That's absolutely 100% worth. That's the most worth it. I've
Which
ever
is
seen.
why like 90% of them have LSDs from the factory. Because
Yeah, that'd be
everybody
worth
is
it.
like, yeah, totally, that would be better.
There's probably like one guy with some delicatessen that he owns that has like an E30 without a limited slip, or E30 M3 without a limited
No,
slip.
those all had LSDs. All
Except for me.
IXs.
Except for mine.
What?
Oh my
Mine.
god, you had a 410 open in your car.
Yeah, we were working on my car while we were doing suspension.
Why does it have that?
Springs, yeah.
Well, someone swapped out parts for my car at one point, so we were swapping out shocks and springs and stuff, and then all of a sudden, I think Eric was just messing around with the rear wheel while I was on the lift, and it was like,
This
only
is an
one
open diff, bro.
only one of these wheels is spinning right now. And it was like, oh,
I was
great.
sick to my stomach when I found that in your car. Luckily,
Yeah.
I had many 410 clutch diffs sitting
Yeah,
on my
we
so
went
you,
in-
you promptly fixed that.
I've-
the same
no,
day.
that same night. It was super late. Like we were gonna be done.
Yeah, it was
and
like 10 o'clock at night, and then we drove to Plymouth to get a 410 LSD, and we put it in the car.
We were both
Good.
like, we cannot leave this. We cannot go home and sleep tonight with
No,
this in
not
the
at
car.
all.
No, I was like traumatized, man. Like now I know how PTSD works. So yeah, if you ever put an open diff in an E30 M3, I will find you and hurt you. So yeah, the 318i model was abandoned in 86. Starting 87, we got the 2.5 liter, the 325i. Yay! We also got the convertible, which John's got. Know what I'm saying?
Heck
I like
yeah.
the convertible because it's cheap and not all-wheel drive.
There you go. Then, of course, we got
Valid.
the
And
IS
it's
option,
convertible.
which took all the standard crap and goodies you got from the ES, but they perforated the front air dam for the oil cooler, which is on the 2.5 liter. And, of course, they put in the much faster 2.5 liter engine, which was actually designed for performance.
There's really not that many things that were added on the sport models. I mean, the main things were the seats, I think, and there's
Seats,
a
deck lid spoiler,
lid
fascia, and premium
front-
sound.
front IS spoiler on the later models with plastic bumpers. Are we at that point yet? I don't think so.
No, but I mean, the IS added front and rear air dams. Well, front air dam, rear spoiler on all of them.
Speaking of which, I think it's worth mentioning that when I met you, it was pulling out sport seats from a convertible with like just gone door seals in the middle of winter.
Yep. It was
And-
frozen to the car,
And the seat wouldn't fold forward.
and it
which
wouldn't move forward either, I don't think.
I think we got to move forward, but it wouldn't like fold forward. So like getting some of the getting the
Oh,
rear,
yeah. I
rear
know the
bolts.
passenger seat one, and it was parked next to a frozen-in car, too, so we couldn't get the passenger door all the way open.
That was
And you were driving a Dodge Durango.
yep, which
Gross.
is now blown up and hopefully in a
Dead.
Chinese washing
junkyard.
machine. Yeah. Yeah, you met me through Craigslist, I think, right? That's when I was running
That's
recycled
probably-
BMWs.
Yeah, I'm sure that's how a lot of people actually met you
Yeah.
because you moved parts.
I
did a
used to
lot
move
of
a lot
stuff.
more, but
Yeah, no, he still slings more parts than I've ever met in my life.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's just kind of what I do. I got a lot of good stuff, and now that I lost my freaking storage, I actually have to sell some of this crap. So.
Hey Burger, what
Yeah.
are you doing? Oh, I'm selling this part to this one person. That's
Yeah,
like
that's-
always
Do you want to
Yeah.
go to X? Oh, I can, but I have to spend the next 42 minutes driving to and delivering this one really weird, obscure part.
Hey, Burger, I've been stabbed. Can you drive me to the hospital? Yes, but first we have to go to New Hope. Sir, it's 3:25 in the morning. Yeah, but this is the only time this guy's available to buy these taillights.
That's the only time I'm available to sell them to the guy. More like it. People are usually way more flexible than I am, but yeah. Okay. So IS, the convertible Motronic 1.0 was introduced. However, 1.1 I believe was also introduced alongside that, but it wasn't used until the 1988 model year.
Why? What's the difference?
Better idle circuitry. They're the exact same harness and everything, but they just improved the
actual
circuitry.
computer
the
itself.
that's all it is. I mean, yeah,
Okay.
87 was kind of like the first of the form factor.
Leave it to BMW to do that. They have like some person like me. I'm like, oh, you know, if you put a resistor right here, and
I've taken apart the ECUs because the 1987 computers are apparently like hot garbage. And like I
Oh,
took
really?
them apart and like they look very different inside from the late ones. But you can put a 93 ECU just like plug and play into it and it's done.
weird.
So you can get and it's better like diagnostic. They have something called the stomp test, where if you turn your key to on and you stomp the gas 5 times, it'll do a certain code of flashes with the check engine light.
I hate the stomp test. It is so picky. You have to do it so perfect
It
for
is
it to
not
work.
picky.
Yes, it is.
You have a crappy TPS if it's picky.
Yeah, maybe
no, I
you
was
should
doing
change
it-
your TPS. Yeah.
No, it
TPS
was in my
reports.
325, which I replaced the TPS.
Oh, you're talking stomp test on your M52.
Yeah.
So wait, it
Oh,
only
yeah.
does that if you
that's
do
terrible.
that. If you do the stomp test.
Yeah.
So Subaru had him beat. That's good. Because Subaru did that with their electronic fuel injection in the GL10 in 1986.
Because they didn't have any dealer service tools, probably.
Well, no, that's correct. But no, it would just automatically, like, when your check engine light. And the reason was so when people are driving along and their check engine light comes on and they start freaking out, they can just say, it flashed 4 times for a really long time, then 3 times in quick succession.
Yep.
And the service advisor says, hey, a spun rod bearing, you're fucked.
Yep, that's too much coolant in the oil. That's the code for that one.
Yeah, you are done.
It's going to seize any minute.
Would you like a brand new Loyale?
Why, yes, I would. It's what makes a Subaru
Nobody
a Subaru.
wants a Loyale. Those are terrible cars.
Okay, yeah, totally.
Yeah, that makes sense though. M52, probably making that a little more difficult.
It's a little, it's tougher on those. You're right. But I mean, you can actually use real computers to plug into those, which is nice. Like I have an ADS diagnostic tool that I can plug into a Motronic 2.1 or whatever that is. Anyway, 87 also brought us, with the 2.5 liter engine, the first 3.73 and the first 410 outside of the M3 differential. And it was the first year we could get any headlight that wasn't the godforsaken sealed beam. We could get factory projector headlights as an option
that
in
is
1987.
Did you still have the nipples on those?
The nipples?
Yeah,
mean
the
on
headlight,
the
headlight nipples
yeah,
that
of
they
course.
had on everything.
Seal
Okay.
beams, yeah. They had
Yeah.
3 of them, I think.
Well, no, on the projector ones.
Oh, no.
Whoa, what?
Nope. No
All right,
nipples.
so
Smooth lenses.
this is something, if you've never paid attention to this, look at cars from the 80s and 90s. A lot of manufacturers are really skittish about what the American rule on the nipples were. And those nipples, they didn't even use anymore because they used to be used for aligning headlights on cars back in the 1950s. So they
Okay.
literally had not done it since the 50s that way.
Sure.
But a lot of manufacturers in Japan, namely, but in Europe as well, they were really skittish about taking them off because they weren't 100% sure.
Taking off the what?
the nipples.
Okay.
Yeah, but it was one of those things where they didn't want to make a
Bless you.
they didn't want to make a U.S. spec headlight
And again.
without the nipples, and then have it not be allowed in like one state.
Yeah, DOT is really picky about that.
Yeah, and state by state is different
I'm
too.
disappointed you only said nipples 5 times in that. I was counting.
Nipples are a great word.
Shit, 6. Okay, moving on to 1988. We saw the diving board aluminum bumpers hang on for 1 more year, even though BMW changed all of the metal structure on the rear of the car and added a new front valance. So we got the larger taillights, a larger rear fascia, and a much larger front fascia as well, with a different front lip spoiler with revised fog lights that were flush mounted. We got the introduction of the 325iX, so the all-wheel drive version, which had a ZF designed. Yeah, it's terrible.
Which at one point costed more than the M3.
In 88, yes, every 325iX sold in the 88 model year had every option selected by default, so it cost more than the equivalent E30 M3 of the day.
Which is insane.
And
to
now
think
the
about.
cars are worth nothing, and the M3s are worth a shit ton. Also, the M3s are nice to drive, and iXs are terrible. The U.S. also saw its foray into the E30 M3 offerings in 1988, which is excellent. That's the year my black one was. Isn't yours in 88 as well? John?
Yes.
Okay. So we have some experience with the 88 M3. And then along with that, Motronic 1.1 was fitted to the 2.5-liter engines as standard, so you got the better idle circuitry and a little bit better diagnostics. And the 2.7-liter that we've loved from 1984 is now using a completely different set of electronics and a new cylinder head, stolen from the 325i, but also using the shitball camshaft.
So when did they get rid of the diving board bumper?
1989, technically.
89.
But
Okay,
this
so
was
we're-
a transition year where they had all the sheet metal on the car from the late plastic bumpers,
Oh,
but
okay.
they still had the early bumpers on them.
Yeah.
So 88s are really easy to spot. So if you get the big taillights and you got metal bumpers, it's an 88.
Oh, okay.
But they're also just plug and play for plastic bumpers because they changed all the hard points in 1988 for
That's
plastic
really cool.
bumpers.
That's really
but
nice,
they
yeah.
didn't do.
So are the metal bumpers just like different?
Yeah,
then?
they're different
Oh.
on the
I've
88.
never seen a metal bumper car with the larger.
It's really
taillights.
uncommon. The first all-wheel drive Unicorn was an 88 iX, and it had that really weird combo.
You should just go hunt down the 88 just because it's rare.
I would love an 88 IS, honestly, like a stock one.
Yeah,
Just
like,
because
if
it's
you
a
can find
really
one-
uncommon car.
If you can find one, because that'll probably be worth something.
I'm sure, but it's also really ugly.
That is one of those cars where it's to be oddly appreciating, kind of like an 85 MR2.
No, it totally is. But the car I think I'd most want is like a 1989. Okay, excluding M3, 1989 325i sedan. That's it. I just want a plastic bumper sedan with a manual. Just call it good. Such a great car.
You know, this is one of those few cars where I'd say that the sedan actually looks about
It
as well
looks
as the coupe.
way better than the coupe.
Now, I like the coupe. I really like the coupe.
E30 coupes are dumb.
Hey,
False.
also, we've not.
Wrong.
Yeah.
Wrong.
You,
No,
you guys
they're
also
dumb.
have. What was that horrible Targa version of the E30?
Oh, the Bauer.
the Bauer, yeah.
The Bauer
Those,
TC.
those are terrible.
Yeah, that's not technically factory. It
But, I mean,
kind of
you
is.
should still
It's
mention
like
it.
ATS making the convertibles for Nissan in the 90s.
Oh, yeah.
So Bauer, they took a coupe E30 chassis right off the assembly line, and they fitted this. It's almost like if you guys know what the new Fiat 500C is, it's a rollback canvas top. That's
Except
what the Bauer
that
is.
looks much better than the 500C.
Because it's designed to be there on
Yes,
the
that's
500C.
true.
But Bauer's been doing this since the 2002. So I mean, they've been making these Bauer top cabriolets for a long time.
There's one car that I think is a better example.
Mm-hmm.
Can you just Google the Celica Sun Chaser real quick? Because that's something. This is what I think of whenever I see a Bauer E30.
Well, it's sort of like a Porsche Targa, right? Is that kind of same thing?
That is
Targas
awful
are
looking.
removable center roof panels, And the Bauer has, I mean, that portion of the roof opens up, but it also can come all the way down and stow at the back like a traditional computer. Sorry, not computer, a convertible. Looking at a computer.
So this is the Sun Chaser. This is what I think of, and I think that is one of the most grotesque cars. But it's like one of those things where it's like
It
grotesque,
does
but
look like a Bauer TC.
It's one of those things where it's like super grotesque, but like there's this like weird thing that kind of like a small part of me wants one.
I wouldn't be surprised if that top conversion was done by Bauer in Germany.
I wonder if it was. Yeah.
It might have been.
It might be the same thing.
But yeah, okay, so the 2.7 was changed out to a much newer version just based on 325i hardware. The reason why they did this is because they stopped making the casting for the old crappy engine. But those engines are really desirable because they're high compression and high displacement, and you can just put the 2.5 head on them and they make a bunch of power. So those are great. Moving right along to 1989, plastic bumpers. Woo! Yay! Whoop. The most important thing to happen to regular E30s, in my opinion. The touring wagon production, not in the United States, started this year. Motronic 1.3 controllers replaced the 1.1. I'm seeing a pattern here with them just revising the crap out of the computers in the 2.5 for year after year after year. But
why though?
I don't know. I mean, the 87 cars had intermittent computer failures just because they weren't well made. But even the 1.1 and 87 or 88, I mean, was pretty good. So. I don't know.
It seems like such a weird German thing to do. It's
Rolling
like,
changes from Bosch, probably. The fact that they're all plug and play with one another, it's just like, whatever. Who cares?
It's such a weird. It's like Volkswagen with their stupid timing chains. Like every single.
I would not equate this to Volkswagen's timing chains.
Well, no, I mean like every single one is just a little bit different, and just for no reason.
Yeah. Okay. I can
That's
see
what
that.
I mean.
Yeah. It's just more part numbers to confuse people.
Yeah. Exactly.
The BMW Z1 also goes on sale starting in 1989,
Excellent,
not
cool
in the
car.
United States, but you guys will have to Google that. That is a full E30. It is an E30, but it looks nothing like you would associate an E30 being. So it's a two-door, kinda,
It's
convertible.
like two sliding doors.
Yeah, so they slide downward
Yeah.
into the rocker panel of the car, and you climb
is
up and
super
over,
cool,
and they're
yeah.
electrically operated, and all the body panels are removable in plastic.
Yes, and
So-
you can drive. It's the only car you can drive with the doors out, like down.
Correct. Yep. You can drive it with the doors down.
It is the only car you
And
can
you can drive it
with
without the door
doors down.
panel, or even any body panel on it too. You can drive it completely naked.
That's pretty cool.
It's
Yeah.
a really cool car.
Some cars leave in a car show. You know, they'll rev their engine or they'll try and
Yeah.
do a burnout or
The
something with
Z1.
a
Z1, you
Z1.
just pop your doors down.
It's true. The doors do go down.
That is like the only car I can think of
Yeah.
where that's ever been, and I think probably for good reason, because it's not actually the most reliable system. It sounds like
It
for
is-
Harold,
Yeah, as I say, it was.
because we have a local friend that has one of these, and it's very cool. But I actually really love the Z1.
I think
a cool car.
everybody does, and
never
that's
see
supposed to, they are way cheaper than I thought they would be.
You can buy one in Germany right now as long as you buy one like green in like reasonable condition with some miles on it for not very much. They actually sold a pretty good number of Z1s worldwide. I was surprised. Like it's 3 or 4 times as many as they sold A30 M3s.
I wonder if EAG has any on their.
I don't
website.
even want to know.
Yeah.
God dang it. And then, okay, 1989 and 90, no difference except for in 1990, you could get an optional front driver's side airbag. 1991, that became standard. And in 1991, the 318i model comes back. Yay!
Yay.
But it doesn't have that archaic M10 engine anymore. It's got a first of its breed twin cam 4-valve per cylinder BMW engine called the M42.
Timing chain.
It is a duplex timing chain, a very, very reliable engine with one of the best flowing cylinder heads the company has ever made.
Which engine was this? The 4-cylinder?
M42 B18.
Really?
Yep. The Getrag 240 manual resurfaces after a 5-year absence, of course, since the 318 engine was gone. A slightly different design since this new 318 engine shares the bell housing pattern with the upcoming 6-cylinder M50 for the E36 and the E34. So this engine was a first for BMW. It started off engine family that went all the way through 2006. So it's kind of a big deal. A really modern thing to happen in such an old, aging chassis. Because, I mean, this was the last year of the coupe and the sedan, even though the convertible went for another 2 years. The convertible finally got the plastic bumpers, which it was overlooked for on all the facelifts prior. So if you have a 1990 convertible, it still has the big metal bumpers and the tiny taillights, which is kind of weird.
I believe they also got
That's so weird.
power tops at that point too.
Okay, that's a good point. Yeah, I think that's right. In 91, the power top
Actually, I
became
guess that kind
standard.
of makes sense because it's such a niche car. Like, it would make sense to redesign the whole car.
Right, but
take
why they
comment.
did it 2 years before they killed it off? That's just kind of surprising. But
Oh, did they just release it?
91 was when they updated the convertible, and they killed it off in 93.
weird.
And the E36 was already in production when they facelifted.
So, one second. When they with the 91,
Yeah.
what did they update on the convertible again?
They made the rear taillights bigger. They put the bigger rear valance on it. They put the plastic bumpers on it, and then
But
they
still had
standard
the.
power top.
That's so weird.
I mean, they're really nice looking cars, but,
But still had the small bumpers and the
had
small taillights.
no, they put the big taillights on.
Oh,
it,
okay.
Or 91.
Well, to be fair, it's not like that much bigger. Like,
No. I mean, yeah, it's easy to tell apart if you know what you're looking for, but if you're
Yeah.
not paying attention, you don't notice.
Yeah.
And there are a lot of people that like graft the rear panels between cars. I'm like, why the hell would you do that? A lot of people prefer the early taillights, and a bunch of people prefer the late taillights. So it just kind of it's half.
I'm pretty indifferent.
I don't really care.
versus
I
the
like them
two.
both. I've got cars with both.
I like the big taillights. Of
look
course,
fine.
my reasoning for that is I like the big taillights because I like cars that have like exaggerated features on them. So like a big taillights or big headlights and like a big windshield or something, but not otherwise small car.
I think the big taillights update the car quite a bit.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, it definitely
I
does.
think it fills out the rear end a little bit,
Yeah.
which is pretty huge.
If you look at like an early Euro car with the small taillights, it does genuinely look like it's a 70s design.
Yeah, it does.
And at the end with the big, the facelift and all that, like it looks like a late 80s car. Like it looks like it was always designed to be. But I don't know.
I think we really should talk, just like spend a second and actually appreciate that they were able to do that.
Yeah.
Because I get
They
me
just didn't care. I mean, they're just like, yeah, let's just do that.
Well, I mean,
sounds good.
well, they managed to do it so gracefully because so many other brands were just, like Chevy. If you look at it, if you look at the C3 Corvette, like
Oh,
by
I
the
don't wanna
time
look at that.
by the time they continued that on, because that had about as long of a production cycle as the E30 did.
That thing had a longer production cycle than like liquid water.
Yeah, that's true. But that car, they did not do it gracefully though. That's the thing.
No, it's a terrible car.
As opposed to BMW, like it's very easy.
That
to
car looked
screw
good
up
every year it
something.
was in production,
Yeah.
except for maybe 88. But except for the M3, that was pretty good looking.
88 was fine. I mean, in all honesty, it really was fine.
It was. I would seek out an 88 if I was buying a non-M, honestly,
Yeah.
because I like how just quirky and super high option they were.
Yeah.
It wasn't just the iX in 88. If you bought an IS, also it had all the options. So it had map light mirror, leather seats, 13-button onboard computer, premium sound, all that stuff. So if you find an 88 IS, it's gonna be really high spec.
I remember I was trying to justify buying a map light for one of my E30s.
I've got like 7 of them.
and
If you need one.
I used it like once, and I was like, worth. And then I don't think I ever used it again.
I used it in Brexit one time.
Were
But
you
like,
looking at a map though?
no, but I
Well,
mainly do it because the actual mirror looks so much better.
I think it looks better, although I don't know if this was.
It shakes
just-
a lot more, which I
It
don't
does shake a lot, and mine rattled too. I think that was just. I think that was
Ooh,
just.
I think you bought a
mine.
garbage one.
All I have to say is more buttons, the better.
Not true. I've been
80s cars. That's
I
the way
have
it
manual
works.
window swapped my E30 M3. I got rid of the cruise control hardware. I'm
No,
about
manual
to get
windows
rid
are
of the
fine.
OBC.
You can have manual windows.
Manual windows
I want all the buttons in the
Yeah.
world and manual windows.
I had to convert to early style coupe glass to do that on one side because
Yeah,
my
that
car
was-
apparently had a new door on the left
That
side
was
at some
that
point.
was weird.
Which is why one of the windows on my vehicle is not tinted anymore.
And it's also. I don't know how they went about choosing where to put the window lock button in E30s. Because,
Oh, especially the late sedans.
like it's on the console panel, like where the shifter is. Nope, it's above the radio. No, it's
Yeah.
like it's. I don't know if there's any rhyme or reason to where they put that on
And
each car. But
there's a lockout switch, and then there's also a breaker on the early cars, too. In fact,
Wait,
no,
a
that's on all
breaker?
of them. There's a window breaker.
yeah, that's what I was talking about.
There's a circuit breaker, and there's a lock. If you get a late sedan, there's a square lockout.
Oh, yeah.
And there's
Yep.
a circuit breaker.
Why is there a circuit breaker?
So if it pulls too much current,
Actually, you know what I just thought of? Because if you have like some old dumbass kid that's like playing with the windows in the back and blows a fuse, it's just a circuit breaker and you just pop it.
Yeah.
That actually makes perfect sense.
it was a 30 amp
actually.
fuse and a 20 amp breaker.
Yeah, that makes sense.
I
Yeah.
have to say that has happened to me before.
Jan, can you repeat that?
Well, it's happened to me before when kids are playing with the windows and all of a sudden your windows don't work.
Yeah, that's the thing.
Stupid water
Oh.
softener.
God, I had one person in my car, and I forgot to mention that my passenger window switch goes down but not up.
Oh,
So,
I had that
Yeah,
happen
like
on Blau 30.
Before I was able to say anything, they pushed it down, and when we got to wherever we were going, I had to switch the window switches from the driver's side to the passenger just to put the window up, which is
If you
arguably not hard to do.
One
but-
second.
if you smack the
one
crap
second.
out of those things, they do eventually start working.
That is design genius.
What?
That you can do that. You can just switch the switch from the driver's side.
Oh
to
yeah,
the
the
it's
switches
passenger.
are all
super
identical.
easy.
That's genius
Yeah.
because they don't do that anymore.
Ooh, I forgot one thing, man. In 1986, they went from painted buttons to lighted buttons on the window switches,
That's huge.
and you can retrofit them. You can
That's
you can
really
put
cool.
an 86 switch in like an 82 5 Series, and it'll light up and work.
That's actually a pretty big deal.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
Because a painted switch would probably make me want to just jump out of the car.
They're really hard to find now, and some people want them.
The painted switches?
Yeah, because they were only sold for like 2 years, but nobody cares because they're worse in every way.
Yeah, I
I
think
mean, I
there-
guess if you have one, like,
I have some painted switches, but like I don't know.
there's a few aftermarket companies too that are making the new style switches for a lot considerably cheaper than
Really?
BMW. Yeah, I think there's some aftermarket ones that are. I haven't
There's,
looked in a long time,
I
but
think those are just OES, which means they're actually BMW that were just rebranded and sold off.
so I have a
Pretty sure
question.
they're actually OE, but cheaper, yeah.
A weird question.
Wow, go ahead.
How did their gauge clusters ever change?
They really didn't, except
were
for
just the same?
Well,
They have
okay,
like different tachometers?
that's a good
or-
question. So I mean, other than the tachometer range is going to change for the engine, so we'll just
Yeah.
omit that. The M3 got rid of the instantaneous fuel economy for an oil temperature gauge, and also had red needles, a little badge for the M logo. But other than that, the only changes were U.S. domestic market had icons for the warning faults at the
Okay.
bottom,
Yes.
whereas the rest of the country, I think, had written,
Countries.
no, we had written everyone else had icons.
we had words because we
So
can't
we didn't
figure
have
out
like
symbols,
the little logo for brake pad wear. We had like brake
Brake.
lining
Yeah.
written on it
because
because we're retarded.
We are.
Yeah.
Other than that, the clusters really didn't change except for the speedometer. The first year they had fewer hash marks on it, so
Okay.
it was like 5 mile an hour hash marks, and I think the later ones are 2.5 mile an hour increments or something like that.
That's actually super
Other
cool.
than that,
yeah.
they stayed the same.
And
Did they have the same like top speed?
They're all
between all of
160.
them?
yeah,
All
and they're also
160?
made by two
VDO
different
and
companies.
Motometer,
Yeah,
yep.
Yep.
And if you ever have to replace the gears in one, please, for the love of God, find a VDO because the gear sets are third the price.
Yeah, I got one more question.
Okay.
Did the colors of the dashboard lights ever change?
Nope. Always
Okay.
orange.
Always that red orange kind of color.
Because hot Civic, because the only car I can possibly compete with,
Sure.
how different everything is.
Yeah.
You had, I think there's like something like 25 different gauge clusters.
Are you kidding me?
I'm serious. The most expensive one is the UKDM 88 or sorry
Here we
UKDM
go,
9091.
DMs
Yeah, the UK market 9091 Civic VTI gauge cluster because that one has the highest tachometer, goes to 9,000 RPM, has a top speed that goes
Jeez.
to 160.
Miles per hour?
Yeah.
Wow.
And everything's in orange, whereas everything's normally in
Ooh.
green.
Yeah. Yeah, I was going to say
So-
every Honda I've ever driven is like an early 90s one. It's always green.
It's green, except like they had different ones in different countries, and then you
Alright.
can get ones from like each country had the actual words written in
Yeah.
their particular
Okay.
like language. So like unleaded fuel is like, and like in English in
Laissons
America.
sans plomb.
Yeah, it says that in French, and
Yep.
then they have like whatever the Swedish version is. There's a Swedish one.
Flurgenflugen,
Yeah.
Flugenfluger.
Exactly. So
That's probably what unleaded fuel is in Swedish.
yeah, when I found that out, I started like going through it. And, like, there's like ones in Greek, and all the Greek ones, everything's entirely in Greek on it. Like it's super cool.
Oh, that one says Euromeat on it.
yeah, exactly. So
My
because
Euromeat is low, everyone.
like they used a couple of symbols, but for most things they just used like abbreviations and stuff, so like MPH and like KPH and everything. But yeah, the UKDM is the only one with the 9,000 RPM tachometer that also had a speedometer in miles per hour, not
Right.
KPH.
UK is a weird kind of halfway where they still use liters, but they use miles per hour and they
Yeah.
use like miles per imperial gallon.
So did they switch between kilometers per hour and miles per hour? Or did they
They
just
did. Yep. So I mean, like if you get a Canadian market car, it'll have a KMH speedo, but it's just a modular item in the
And, like,
cluster you can swap out.
And the fuel gauge, I guess.
Oh,
is
yeah.
in liters too.
Yep.
now that you
They'll
said
the
that.
Euro ones will have a actual depiction of how many liters.
Okay.
So it'll say like 40 liters or something.
So they did
above it.
they did differ quite a bit.
The
then.
clusters are all the
little
same. The
bit.
faces are
The
in-
faces are
swapped.
different, yeah.
Yeah. So the clusters internally are all the same. Even you can swap a speedo between a Motometer and a VDO cluster and stuff like that. So I mean, even though they had two manufacturers for these things all the way through, You could swap a majority of the components, and they were compatible, which is nice. But BMW did something really clever, because on like the 4-cylinder and 6-cylinder cars, they wanted to make one cluster, but the tach wouldn't read correctly. So they have what's called a coding plug in the front of them,
Okay.
which just lists a part number on it. So you can get one, and that codes both your fuel tank size.
Oh, it's really cool.
And your number of cylinders.
So they had different fuel tanks too.
2 different fuel tank sizes.
Weird.
Oh, thank you for bringing that up. 1988 saw the increase of a fuel tank size, unless you have a convertible, in which case you got that in 91.
Okay. Yeah, that's
And it's a
actually
pretty
very
substantial
strange.
increase. You want a late model tank.
Really?
Yeah,
How big is it?
2.5 gallons.
Wow, that's a big deal.
Yeah, it's a big deal. So all the racers with early cars, they swap out tanks.
Yeah, so you can go on. Yeah.
It's
makes
harder
sense.
to find a decent tank now, so they're having a hard time with that. Okay, let's see here. South Africa also got 2 unique models. I'll touch on these
Yes, they did.
briefly. They got the 320 IS, which is a M-Tech, so it's got the fancy body kit from the factory, and it also had a 2-liter version of the E30 M3 engine and the 5-speed manual transmission. It was called the 320 IS. So that was a, what do you call it, SADM only model.
Yeah.
Really cool, because it had just like super rad 80s interior, really nice M-Tech kit on the outside,
Like,
S14 engine. With
What was this trim level called again?
It's called a 320 IS.
I swear all the Euro cars and just like cars that didn't come to America always had like the super cool options, like the hydraulically adjustable.
Yeah, because we had Ronald
headlights.
Reagan, so we didn't get any of the cool stuff.
Yeah,
That's all Ronald
a,
Reagan.
a lot of
What are some of the other cool stuff? Headlight
yeah.
washers.
So the vacuum adjust headlight levelers.
Oh yeah, vacuum.
Ooh.
Yep.
That was pretty cool. That's Euro only. Yeah, the headlight wiper kits.
So
That was
then you
Euro
had to
only.
find the dual reservoir.
And then you
windshield.
got to get it to work, which is fun.
Yeah, that was one of those things when we were talking earlier about BMW not selling European parts to America. I searched for a long time to find a new one because I
The relay
wanted-
or something else?
No, I had the relay, but like a nice clean wiper tank.
Oh, I
so
remember
one
that,
that's
yeah.
not like stained because
Yeah.
eventually they start yellowing and
Did
they
you ever
look
try
horrible.
to retrobrite that?
No.
Okay, we should probably try that one of our old reservoirs because the I think LGR on YouTube does that with his old like keyboards and stuff.
Yeah, I still have the old one. So
I've got like 5 or 6 of those double tanks too, so we can try one.
But yeah, it
I
was
can
really
bring the
hard.
one from my Subaru.
Fine.
But yeah, it's-
Or we can just have a
A
reservoir.
retrobrite party.
Yeah, retrobrite reservoir
We
party.
have to wait until it's sunny out though, because you need like I think hot sunny weather to do it.
yeah, but
We'll
it's
do it this summer. It'll be fun. We'll make it. We'll make a
Perfect.
day of it.
but yeah, it's crazy how
I feel like I just invited Ryan on a picnic or something.
we'll make a picnic out of it.
There you go.
But it's crazy how some parts, like everyone is just so convinced that it's NLA or it's just you can't get it in America, and then you just really have to find the right person to talk to, and then it's like, oh yeah, we got these $80, and it's like they're selling you.
Those seats are phenomenal, by the way.
Oh yeah, the 320 IS.
I just found the striped ones. Those look really cool.
I do love finding and buying OE new parts for less than people are selling their old shitty ones for. I find that on 355 stuff all the time.
Yep.
I looked at like an air pump for that thing, which is what makes the exhaust valve work.
Yeah.
A new one is like $578. A used one is like $740. I'm just like, do you not know? You listed the
Yeah.
part number. Like you could have just gone to Fair Parts and typed it in and realized that this is like easily buyable or purchasable, whatever.
Are you talking about the Recaros on the are you talking about E30 seats?
Yeah, we're
Yeah.
talking about the M-Tech cloth seats that are in the
Yeah.
320 IS.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay,
yeah, that's what I
okay.
was talking about. They have
Gorgeous.
the cool striped ones, and they have the ones that are like gradients and everything. They're really tight.
But I mean, that was only a
Plaid.
2-liter engine, but it had like US 2.3 power output. It was 194 horsepower, S14. So obviously you get all the maintenance issues, but
I imagine like 100% of those were stolen in South Africa.
yeah, they also didn't make very many. So
Yeah, so they're all stolen.
yeah. And hopefully none of them were chop shop because they are really cool cars.
They are all
'Cause
chop
that's the
shopped.
only S14 sedan ever.
Yeah,
That's actually pretty cool.
that's cool.
Which I don't know if S14s are good or not yet. I'll jury's out. Then they also had one more model called the 333i, which used the 5 Series 3.4 liter.
333i?
Yeah, 333i, which is a
I like
really
that.
cool badge. Yeah, but it had the big block 6 in it. So it
Sick.
had-
M30,
Yep, had an M30 B34 in it.
which is a pretty popular. Well,
It was really popular in the 90s to do that swap because the engines
Yeah.
were just everywhere out of
and
these
I
E20s.
believe Alpina did an M3.
They
with
did.
an M30. It wasn't just a normal M30, but it was like a.
But it wasn't an S38. It was an M30.
Yeah, yeah. No, I don't think BMW ever.
I think
Actually,
Hartka. Somebody. Hartka. I think they did an S38 powered one,
Yeah,
which is
actually,
the
you
twin
might be
cam
right.
M5 engine out of like the M1.
Perfect.
Awesome. I almost bought an E30 M3 with one of those engines in it before John found my old
I
car.
would have bought that one.
It needed a
It
lot of
had
engine
issues.
work.
But still, that engine's probably worth a lot of money, even in its condition.
It was.
Yeah.
But I mean, also probably needed $9,000 for the engine work.
Hey, you just don't drive it, you park it, and then you save up and buy another one.
Anyway, so I bought a car with an M52 in it, and then I fixed that.
And now it's in my car.
Yep, and now that's in John's daily driver.
Man, imagine if we were in Europe, we could get those nice S50 B32.
Yep,
Those things would just
they're
they'd be everywhere.
yeah. That I'm amazed that that's not a more common swap. I mean, we have S54s now, luckily, which are better in every way except for rod bearings.
And Vanos.
The
The
Vanos is same
it's
basically.
the hub.
Yeah, I know
that
it's the
breaks
exhaust
off.
drive hub, the teeth.
Yeah, but there's companies that are making new hubs.
Yeah, Bees and Systems, they do the cryo hubs.
You know, the hubs on
And back Motorsport.
2JZ VVTIs don't break.
Great.
It's something they went
Just
completely
letting you know.
backwards with that. Like they
That's a
did
single
it.
variable valve timing. None of those have ever failed on BMWs. The twin Vanos engines, oh my god.
But yeah, they went backwards. They had the Vanos perfectly with that S50 B32, and then they did the S54
And the S62 made at the same time with the same parts as the S54. I think it's all down to engine speed. I think that's why they broke.
No, I think the issue was there's just so much more play.
I don't know the tolerances, but I know that
There's
a little
less
slop.
tolerance in the S50 B32. I remember someone kind of looked
okay.
at it, and yeah, that was the. I think that's.
But
the
the
main
cylinder
issue.
head is worse on the S50 B32. The injection's way worse.
Yeah, I don't really know much else about that engine.
They make like 300
Well,
horsepower.
they're nice. I just don't know a lot of specifics other than
S54s
we
are
deserve
better.
one.
Yeah.
We deserve.
We
them.
did, but I'm really glad that our E36s got crippled here because I don't like those. And we're not talking about E36s because those are just trash. Unless you're doing a track car, in which case, please do that. But yeah, I mean, traditionally when people were buying these E30s back in the day, it was, you know, young, affluent 20-somethings, 30-somethings with good jobs buying them to just use them as their daily drivers. And now I feel like the culture of who buys these things has changed an awful lot.
Well, people are stancing them now, which
People are
yeah,
stancing
you hate
them,
to see that.
That's really stupid.
just drifting them to pieces.
There is one thing I do want to talk about.
Okay.
Odd Future, all the dudes from like Tyler the Creator's record.
Tyler and
Earl Sweatshirt, I think, has one.
Who's the other guy who had a album with an E30 M3 on the cover? Frank Ocean.
Yeah, Frank
Yeah,
Ocean.
they both
yep.
own E30.
No, I
M3s.
think it's not just Tyler the
Nice.
Creator and Frank Ocean. I think like Earl Sweatshirt and like all the dudes
That's
have him. And then
They've been in a lot of music videos and stuff too.
yeah,
I know every time I see one, I'm like, sick.
Yeah, oh, in movies. Oh yeah, there's subcultures of people that just spot E30s. And
yeah,
hold
well,
shit.
yeah. And then Action Bronson. I don't think he has a E30, but I do know he's got an M6.
Okay, those are terrible.
No, those are fantastic. You're wrong.
No,
But
they're-
anyway,
they're
so
really-
the E30 is
They're
on the,
really, really bad cars, actually. I know Ryan's gonna tell you otherwise.
It's all rubbish.
The engine's quite good, but
I think they look good. They look good with Euro bumpers. but
they look fine, but like the electrical systems in those cars never got figured out.
Nope.
They're
but
carryovers from the 70s, and
they
they
look
didn't
cool.
figure it out. That's fine. I never said they didn't look cool. I said they're terrible cars.
But no, Action Bronson. There's like a lot of. It's like that car is the E30 has like a weird like pop culture thing to it. Because like there's like car people that like weird stuff.
Weird. What?
Yeah, I know, right?
No way.
But the things that carry over from like car people to your music videos and your normal celebrities and stuff like that, and just pop culture, it's usually very little that has a good carryover. But the E30 seems to have been doing that very well,
Yeah.
and it's like
That car's appeal seems just so widespread. I mean,
they
there's
really
n-
nailed it. They've
I've-
made it perfect.
I can't remember the last time, if I ever heard somebody that like you point at an E30 like I don't really like those.
Nobody has ever.
Like I mean, you can like not love them, but like I don't know of anyone that dislikes.
The
an
thing is, I
E30.
think every single person likes some variant of the E30.
Yeah.
Because my favorite's the wagon and the coupe, as of course. I also really like the convertibles.
Well, the M3 is the right answer.
Yeah, but I mean, like as far as like not M3, but I really like the wagons and the coupes. But
I do like
wagons are
Brexit.
sick.
wagons are really
Yeah.
sick. But it's just one of those things. It's like I've always said that it's not that people aren't car enthusiasts. It's just they haven't found the right car. I feel like people that say they don't like the E30 just have not found the right version of it.
Pretty much. I mean, there's so much the gamut. I mean, you can go from a carbureted 1.6 coupe to a all-wheel drive 2.5
Wagon.
liter sedan.
Wagon.
Yeah, wagon. Even. You could get a 2.4 liter turbo diesel manual E30 wagon.
Yeah, exactly. And then you could
All-wheel
also
drive.
get a homologation DTM
Right.
touring car.
Exactly. So I mean, just between like those 3 points of this really weird German triangle, like you've got a lot of room to work around for stuff that you like.
Yeah, it's there's nothing wrong with that car. I think the only thing I can honestly fault that car on, that would be me. I'm sorry.
Oh, okay.
The only thing I can really truly honestly fault that car on is the stupid struts.
Very. Oh, you mean the knuckles on the non-M?
Yeah, those are stupid.
The E30 M3 solved that. Also, the iX is even worse than the rear-wheel drive car. For
Wait,
that
what's
kind of
what's
thing.
wrong with it?
How you have to take 2 ball joints apart just to change a strut?
Yeah,
Oh,
that's really
yeah.
dumb. Like that's almost as dumb as the Cresta, where you have to like, weld shit together.
I mean, it's not horrible
To put
do,
coilovers in an E30, you have to weld.
That's what I mean.
Yes,
like that.
that
So that's
sucks.
stupid. That's really dumb.
but well, you don't really need coilovers.
You don't need coilovers. They drive so much better with springs and shocks.
And
But
plus,
still, it's
you
like-
can't chop up at least M3 struts. Like,
If you do that, people will actually find you and murder
I
you.
think
Yeah.
I can't remember. I think they went up in price. I can't remember if they're $900 a side or $1,800 a side. But
I hope
they
it's
are
18.
They have not been $900 a side for more than 10 years. So
Good.
they're at least
I'm gonna look it
18.
up.
They're at least $1,800 a side for an empty strut housing
if
for an E30.
they're still
M3.
available.
Good.
If they're still available.
I don't think they're available new. I think you got to buy them used. I think that's used price. But anyway,
Yeah,
I'll keep talking while
any car that has
John looks that up.
any car that has that requires welding to put coilover in it, that's a stupid design.
I agree, but the car is still really good.
No,
so-
I just say like that's my only fault on that car though.
I agree. The thing I like less about that, just pertaining to suspension, is how you load the strut into the strut housing.
Yeah.
Because it's a giant threaded cover thing that holds it in, and they rust in place like crazy.
Yeah, of course they're gonna rust in place. Like, why would they? Who would think that it's not gonna rust?
I don't know.
Like
but
you have 8 feet of surface area on that.
that is one of the things in that car that tells you how old the design was.
Yeah.
Because modern cars are all McPherson strut, and it's all like 20 minutes to change out a corner of suspension. And on
Oh,
these cars, you got to be motivated.
Wheel bolts, another thing I'm not a big fan of.
I love wheel bolts.
Okay.
Have fun breaking a stud and replacing that.
I'm sorry. What about having the wheel fly off a car on?
That
Highway
doesn't
5?
happen all that often. And that,
Happens once in a
it
while.
would still happen with studs too, but it would take a lot longer and you'd have more warning.
Exactly.
I have a confirmation on the prices of the strut assemblies.
Oh, okay.
This one happens to be 16% off MSRP, which is normally $1,859.73.
So what you're telling me is that's a deal and we should buy now.
But yeah, apparently we're getting a deal at $1,500. So
And that's for an empty strut housing for an E30 M3.
yes,
Still available
one
though.
side, one side.
That's-
It's ECS tuning, so who knows? Like,
Okay.
they're infamous for
Okay.
being like, oh yeah, we'll ship it in 5 days, or it's in stock.
Oh, this
Hey,
is, isn't
it's
this the
in
company
stock
that
in our warehouse in Uzbekistan.
this is the company that has the Sport Evo wheels in stock or no?
I mean, yeah,
Or is that Turner?
that's like no, this is ECS.
Okay.
ECS is horrible. They'll list stuff as like it'll ship out, next month.
Mm-hmm.
Like they'll get it from Europe or something. You'll wait a month, and then all of a sudden they'll be like, "Yeah, sorry, you're not getting your part." Like
Yeah.
there's
Yes.
so
Oh,
many
I-
stories of that.
We use them out of necessity
Well, it's a huge
semi-regularly.
Volkswagen parts supplier.
Yeah, well, but I mean, like they're one of the few people that actually have access to Volkswagen, Croatia, and Estonia's parts departments.
Okay.
Which sounds really weird, but the Eurovan had a
Is that like Seat and stuff? or-
no, like actual Volkswagen, but the Eurovan had a
okay.
continuation there, like well until like up to the recession, like as the Eurovan that we got.
Okay.
So like they actually have like all the weird 5-cylinder plastic cool
Oh,
pieces.
great.
Yeah, so it's like I've got people with 5-cylinder Eurovans. They're like, "Hey, I got this one stupid coolant line that broke. Sorry, dude, your car's down for the count for the foreseeable future." You go, "Well, it says it's in Croatia right here on ECS." It says that, doesn't it? But I can guarantee you that I may get a call back and say, "Hey, that's on back order for 2 months." Mm-hmm. But you will get it in 2 months
Until we find a company
Yeah.
that's willing to make them again, basically,
Exactly,
and then we
yeah.
can sell them to you.
Yeah, ECS is they've had some.
Recently, I've had a lot of flack.
Didn't they buy out what other
They bought
tuner?
It wasn't
Turner
Turner.
or
No,
Turner?
I thought was it Turner or Bimmer World they bought. It must
No, I
have
think
been
it's Turner.
Okay.
Yeah, and they like
Perfect. They're made for each other.
Yeah, ECS is
They
just.
both tell you
if
shit's
you
in stock
if you
when
need
it's not.
BMW parts, I can't speak for any other brands, but if
Blunt
you
Tech.
need BMW parts, go to Blunt Tech.
Sales@blunttech.com. They don't pay us. They're just good.
Another one I'm gonna go with is MA Performance.
Yeah, I mean,
Because
it's good.
their website is awful, but they really go out of their way.
And it's local, and they're really good.
Yeah, but well, no. The thing is, like, if they have something, because they'll have like ECS problems happen from time to time, but they go out of their way to be like, hey, we don't have this. I can refund this, or I can give you store credit, or I can give you this other one. And like, I've seen them like actually like sell stuff at cost to make sure that they make the customer happy, or even take a L. Yeah.
Well, he used to work there.
Doing that.
Yeah, I used to work there too, like way back in the day. But I mean, like more recently, like a lot of companies.
Long-time
like,
listeners will remember.
Yeah, like five years ago, I worked there, but.
I remember that.
In 5 years, a company can change a lot. This company is still really up there with their customer service, and customer service is huge.
We've got a lot of pretty good car stuff going on here. I mean, those are both nationally really well-known
Yeah.
things, and they're both like. I'm not going to call them small-time operations because they're not.
No,
but, like,
they're not.
They're local.
No,
they're
yeah,
really good.
Yeah, MA
Best in the
Performance.
business.
MA Performance's facility is like getting close to the size of the Super Value facility in
I
Hopkins.
couldn't believe when this is going to be a tangent. I don't normally do this, but whatever. Fuck it. Grimspeed.
Yeah, they're huge.
I can't. A couple of years ago, I didn't even know they were local, and now
Yeah,
I'm just
they
like,
are.
wow, okay, that
They're
operation
massive.
is literally like across the street from where I work, and that's like a nationally
Yeah.
really highly regarded Subaru tuning company.
Yeah,
It's like,
they're
okay.
very good.
Yeah.
The
So
only problem is they don't make anything for any of my cars. I'm just sitting on $500 of gift cards that I can't use because they don't make anything for any of my cars. What'd you say, honey?
I said, I'll take that off your hands.
Can you turn on Jan's phone?
it is on, but she's just not talking into it.
Yeah. No, talking to the mic, not me.
You gotta talk higher or move the mic down. Your
Yeah,
laptop's
yeah,
in the way, I guess.
Yeah, you
but-
just stand up by the microphone.
I said, I'll take
That's
that
better.
off your hands. I
Oh,
don't know why I
okay,
needed
perfect.
to say that in
Jana
front of
wants your money, basically.
Okay, that was very difficult, but
Ryan, you have a note in
You
here
can
about.
use some wherever you
getting
want.
over that weird like voice thing I had last week, so I'm sorry.
Yeah, that's okay. That was quite a frog.
Yeah.
Ryan, you have a note in here about rim ace?
yes, actually, Remace, they started out actually doing electric conversions on E30s in Croatia.
Was it just like mules, or did they actually use them as daily drivers?
Well, I think they would actually like sell them to people, like over the counter. Like that's where they started out, as they put like electric motors into E30s, and they would be faster than the original one.
I know it's a little off topic, sort of.
Whatever,
BMW
it
had
doesn't
had a E30 with electric motor in it. Like
Oh, yeah.
BMW actually had that.
Yeah,
It was
wasn't
never
good.
released, but
Yeah.
yeah, they definitely did make a full EV E30 way back in the day with lead acid batteries.
that's
and-
super cool.
Yeah.
Like that's you don't have to make that. It's just them being
I'm gonna see
awesome.
if I can find that.
I wonder if that's where Remace got the idea. But yeah, no, Remace actually World Cup of Cars. Yay! They made it way further than I thought they would.
Yeah, they didn't win, but I mean, we like them. Their CEO seems pretty cool.
I'm more excited about the countries that didn't win than the countries that actually did. Because I mean, cool, France and Japan, you expect that. But dude, let's talk about Yugoslavia.
Yeah, we
Here, go back up. Those are Remace right there, green one.
this one.
Yeah,
Okay. Yeah, John and I have both seen the old black and white photos of the electric E30, but I don't know where those are. So, but anyway, they did do a factory supported one. Obviously, it wasn't high performance and cool like the Remace one, but
yeah. The Remace one's actually made like they do drift cars and stuff with them, which is pretty cool.
electric motor would be really rad for drifting. Actually, it'd be really
yeah,
good.
it'd
yeah.
be perfect.
Yeah, tons of shitloads of torque, wheel speed.
Yeah, and then
Oh.
just
Interesting. I'll have to think about that one. I don't really want to go drifting, but I mean, you could build a pretty rad drift car with that.
yeah. Hey,
yeah.
maybe do that with one of your iXs that are worth absolutely nothing that nobody wants.
I parted out one of them, and I'm just about to part out the second one.
The red one.
Maybe.
You really need
I
to
may
get,
still sell it to
you
somebody.
really need to get rid of that so I can say that I have more E30s than you, because
John
I
was
am
really
so
excited. He
close.
texted me the other day, like, "Oh wait, do you have 3 30s or 2?" I'm like, 3? Why? He's like, "Shoot, what's the third one?" I'm like, "The red iX." He's like, "Ah, damn it, you should get rid of that."
That
so I
we
can have
almost
more
sold to my
E30s than
dad.
you."
That we almost sold to my dad, and then the previous douchebag owner put on some Volkswagen wheels that don't
No
fit.
hub centrics, and they had like a little spacer in there, and that just made the bolts all come out at once.
Yep, all at the same time.
On
It
the highway.
ruined a perfect fender. I was so pissed.
Yeah. Now that was we don't speak of that day. 'Cause it was
I'm
just
also.
annoying
I
as
think I'm also more mad about that because my dad ended up buying a Mazda 3. Whereas like my end goal was to buy that from my dad for less than he bought it for you from.
That's kind of how I buy cars too.
Yeah. I usually get somebody I know to buy something,
Like
and
my
then
mother
wait
in her
till they
sport
break
wagon.
it. Yeah,
The
like
long
wait till they
con.
break it and then buy it for way less.
Mom,
yeah.
buy this M Sport diesel 3 Series wagon. You'll love it. And she actually does.
Super
but
reliable.
Yeah, actually, it's good. She gets like
That's-
43 miles to the gallon.
That's why
so
my
it's
mom has a
wonderful.
manual Mazda 2 right now.
There you go. Your parents need reliability, and
Yeah, tell me about it. And somehow my dad ended up with a Mazda 3. So we're about to see like what the reliability of my van is if I do
my.
nothing.
oh my god. All right, well that's the end of my notes. I mean, if you guys have anything else you want to talk about,
You know, I
specifically,
think I
if there's
think
anything, but
it's been
Oh, I have a little bit of auto journalism
Sure.
news.
go for it.
So I found this on like a shit posting group, and I
Those
guess
are my favorite.
so. Someone in the Bay Area in California
Okay.
was really smart, and I'm gonna tell the story, and then you got to guess what car it was.
Okay.
They parked their car on a boat ramp and lost it in the tide. And
In the Bay Area.
in the Bay Area,
Okay.
during a photo shoot of said vehicle.
Can I get like any more kind of vague hints?
The people were in said car
what?
while the tide took it away.
the tide
a-
doesn't just come in like 2 seconds.
Yeah, an onlooker had
Was
to
this
call.
vehicle a factory ride height vehicle?
It didn't mention that in the article,
alright.
but I would assume not.
Okay.
I'm gonna say Volkswagen.
I'm gonna say Mark IV Volkswagen Jetta.
yeah.
Close. It was a Subaru. I think it was just
man.
a.
That thing must have been so stanced to get taken away by
Yeah,
a
what the
tide.
hell?
Well, like I'll like
like that you
have
said
you
close, 'cause it's
guys
the
post
same
the
kind of people.
post the article on
Maybe I can just find
MotorCult.
it.
I think I might have sent it to Corey on Facebook, but it was just like I read it and I didn't even see what car it was, and I was like, dear God, it's got to be a Subaru. And it was like the two people were actually injured from this. And
Well, that's what they get.
Because like I guess the
morons.
car slipped into the tide.
So
but
did they not
it like
see it? Like,
completely drowned the vehicle.
was the tide like obscured from vape smoke, or like
I have no idea.
they just like a giant like opaque cloud of vape smoke? Well, here,
Car
let me see it.
submerged in Mission Bay.
John, give me Corey's girl phone.
Girl phone?
That-
Oh, it looks
All
like-
right, we
Ryan,
found
you
it.
love that color.
I know I do, but it looks like it'd be Gianna's.
Oh,
That's literally
oh!
that is not even a special Subaru. It is just a stock Subaru Impreza Sport.
Yeah.
Owners must love that thing if they're doing a photo shoot with it.
Why?
But how? Yeah. I have questions.
How and why? Who's responsible for this? We need them on the podcast now.
Fly him out.
The incident happened around 12:20 p.m.
Oh my God.
Blue Subaru
No.
started to slip into the water and called 911. And yes, I do say 911.
Wait, one
Screw
second.
all of you.
Porsche?
When I finish the
Porcha,
call, the
porcha,
car is already
porcha.
drowned. Manuel Silla. All right.
They were very unfamiliar with how an actual boating ramp works and the dangers involved, he said.
Can we
Apparently they don't know how water
can you
works
Google
either.
this person? I mean, I'm just curious if they're like automotive journalists. Like, why were they taking a photo shoot of a brand new stock car? I don't get it.
I think that these are kids that were like super like stoked that they got a Subaru. It's just like a few models lower than a STI. Bruh.
There's so many different Manuel Sillas.
Yeah.
Well, maybe this guy will have a picture of a Subaru as his like
You're looking at it's a
Yeah,
cover
no
photo of
way.
a Subaru in the water
his stock Subaru.
with some sweet Photoshop effects on it.
His stock Subaru. He's like, I got like torque vectoring. Look how great it is. It's as good as the E30.
How can he afford to edit all the vape smoke out?
No, you don't edit it.
impressive.
That's why like everybody with a Subaru really likes synthwave, because then you just need to add neon lights. Boom, synthwave album cover right there.
It's too bad they don't make much synthwave anymore because there's an abundance of future album covers just coming out every day.
Yeah, well, no, I mean they do make synthwave. It's getting bigger and bigger every day. It's
Well,
like
yeah, but
fantastic.
it's still not like a very common genre as far as everything else is concerned.
It's still a very underground EDM subgenre. I mean, it's my favorite. It replaced metal as my favorite genre of music. Like,
Okay, that's a digression too far.
I think that might be a
We're
bombshell.
calling it on that one.
I think that's a good bombshell that
we gotta-
synthwave is better than heavy metal.
This was a pretty healthy episode.
It
so I
was,
think we can
hour
handle
and
that.
40 minutes. So yeah, I think our special should just be like an hour and 45.
That's
Hour
fine.
and 40 or so.
That felt totally natural.
But yeah,
so.
I just had to share that article with you guys. Because
No, that's good.
it was
Oh,
good
hey,
stuff.
hang on 1 second. Before we end the episode, John, for the record, what is your favorite E30?
Oh yeah.
Can I say M3 because that's obviously it.
You can say whatever you want.
What's your favorite E30 and what's your favorite not an M3 E30 then?
Okay. All right,
Okay,
that's fair.
Special editions like AC Schnitzers and stuff count as well.
Okay. I think I'd probably have to go with the Evo 3 with black leather. I don't really.
That's still an
I
M3.
used. Well, yeah, but
Yeah,
for the M3.
M3 and then non M3.
alright.
Yeah.
I wasn't really a huge fan of the Sport Evo cloth. Like it looks kind of good in pictures, but when you see it in person, it's
want
it's
leather
a little
SRDs.
much. Yeah, like black leather is definitely the way to go. And if I had to pick a non M3, I'd probably go with a wagon. Probably a wagon.
What engine? Factory
M20.
response.
Or,
Okay.
yeah.
I'd go M21.
If I could pick any engine, man,
Factory motor, I would take a M21
throw an S62 in there, that'd be sick.
324 TD. bro.
Or what's the E60 V10?
Oh, S85.
Yeah,
That does sort of fit.
maybe one day once.
I haven't seen anything on that car for a long time.
Yeah,
Kinda
that
sad.
was supposed to be done like
For
2
vintage,
years
like
ago.
4 years ago.
Yeah,
Okay.
I've lost track of time on that one. It's not even my car,
That's fair.
but yeah, all E30s are good E30s.
That's
Yeah,
pretty much-
well,
Except
for
unless they're stanced,
Or
then
Yeah,
IXs.
that's the only one that's not good.
or IXs.
they're good for parts.
They are good for making profit. I'll say that.
But yeah, I can't see myself ever owning one. Plus, all the IXs are rusted to hell at this point. Or
Some
most
of them aren't. but,
Most
like,
of them are.
If they're not, that means that it wasn't used properly.
Yeah, one of my dad's was in
It's
solid
in pretty
condition.
good, pretty good shape. That's why I'm so hesitant to part it out because it is still a nice car.
I
but
would honestly just sell it.
it's worth more in parts. It's worth so much more in parts.
Yeah, but I mean, that's the thing is like that is such a
I
particularly
deliberately.
good car.
That's why I put an engine in it. When I bought that, it had a well ventilated engine block.
A well ventilated block.
Well ventilated. No blow by issues at all. Just good crankcase ventilation.
Burger, what's your favorite? All right, other than the M3, because it's obviously the M3, but
I mean, I'd pick the 320 IS, but that's kind of a cop out because it's almost an M3.
so either an M3 or almost an M3.
Well, but I like the 320 IS because it's a sedan, and I think it's an M-Tech 2 sedan, so it's got like the most updated externals, and it's got arguably the best engine that was offered in an E30 stock.
Yeah.
But if I couldn't have that, I would take a Wagon 324 turbo diesel manual because that was a factory engine in Europe.
Okay,
Yeah, I don't know a lot about the diesel engines, but I know
It's pretty good.
I would say either for me.
Oh, Ryan, what E30, M or non-M, would you take?
Well, I don't really care about M3, just an M3, just because it's worth
Because you
money.
can't afford it.
Yeah, I can't afford it. However, I would say a late model convertible.
Okay.
He said it was like
91 to 93.
91 to 93, where they got the big taillights.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, big taillight convertible with the AC Schnitzer wide body.
I think the Schnitzer stuff was only the early bumper.
This is on an early bumper, but if
That's-
they had that available,
That's an M3 convertible replica.
Okay,
That's
yeah.
all fiberglass.
yeah, but that looks awesome.
That's also
or
an early convertible.
the other one, yes, it is early convertible because I saw how small those taillights are. The other one is the Koenig wide body by Koenig Specials.
I really hate that thing.
Both of these I
Nah.
chose to trigger burger, but no,
I'm not a fan of that second one. For
no,
sure.
to be honest,
That's like the red E30 M3 for the guy that bought my black one.
Yeah,
It's
which
got like
didn't-
STI bug eye rally lights grafted into a bumper, and it was like, ugh.
honestly, it would probably. I do really like the sedan with the big taillights.
Oh, yeah, and that's got a heck blend in it, too.
Yeah, narrow bumpers. Yeah,
Yeah.
That one I think is as far as not stupid things I get to trigger people. that'd be it.
Did late model convertibles ever lose that third brake light on the trunk, or did it just get smaller?
No, it got smaller in '88, but
Okay.
they never got rid of
Could
it.
you get a trunk from one that didn't have
course.
it? Yeah, it
coupe,
was way
coupe
better.
and,
Because
coupe and
trunk,
sedan,
yeah.
both fit.
so you can get a big taillight convertible with no third
Yeah.
high mount. Perfect.
Yeah,
those
I
are
would
the
the
do
trunks
that.
are all the same size.
I would honestly do that because I think I really like the convertible.
I do
a lot,
too.
yeah.
I mean, that
Yeah.
was the first two E30s I owned were convertibles.
Yeah, I feel like I'm like one of 5 millennials that actually likes convertibles. So
Oh, I'm a huge Vert guy. I would prefer a convertible that's not an E30 and then E30s that
Yeah.
aren't. But I mean, if I only had,
I don't like slick tops because I get seasonal depression in Minnesota. So last thing I need is to not have more sun shining on me in
oh
like
man, all
February.
of the E30s need to be no sunroof. That's the way to do it.
yeah. Well, I mean that's the thing is convertible sunroof, target top, something, anything, Bauer.
Okay, and on the note that Ryan wants a Bauer TC E30, we'll go ahead and close our 50th episode.
Thank you for listening.
Thank you for everyone that is listening. I hope John's Twitch streamers didn't all unsubscribe from him with the boring nature of this
Oh, they're dead.
very.
No, this is on par for normal
Okay,
Twitch
cool.
streams for
They,
me.
they watched you shovel, so.
Yeah, they watched me shovel snow. I think this is
So DM John and tell him if this is more or less entertaining than the snow shoveling video.
Yes, please tell me. Also, thank you for having me.
Of course, yeah. Thanks
Yeah,
for
thank-
coming.
thank you, John.
for
You're-
letting me force you come down and do this.
You're always
I-
welcome.
I was like, oh, he's in New York. There's no way he's making it back in time for the podcast. And I'm
No,
like,
that's how Burger is.
I saw that he was in New York, and I was like, how fast is he going to come back?
I was like, you better drive that Lambo
I got
really fast.
I
to
got
get
back
here.
at midnight, 15 after midnight yesterday, and
Oh.
Modi was very displeased.
That's really good time.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I chose flights that were like, well, yeah. I'm really glad that we had 7 hours there because it turns out LaGuardia is the shittiest airport. Sorry. What's a non-curse?
Poop. It's
Poopiest.
poop.
Poopiest airport in all of the United States.
You're welcome from early education teacher.
Thank you. Just ignore the first word I said. If any children were listening, I said poop, and then tell your parents I said poop. But that is the poopiest airport ever. It had one place in it that had beer and food.
That's awful.
And it was a Sodexo lunchroom grade burger, which was amazing because I was hungry. And it had like Blue Moon and like an IPA, so I just had a bunch of Blue Moons. But like again, that was like the best beer I'd ever had because it was like 8 hours since I had last
Yeah.
had any food
Then
or
you
drink.
got free beer on the plane.
And then yeah, like the last two legs. So I had a layover from New York to DC, and then
You got
DC.
free beer? What?
I got 3 free beers on the airplane
what
from
flight-
the air hostess.
All right. So what? Who is? What plane were you flying?
American.
American?
In poverty class too. I was in scum class.
Well,
I wasn't even in
Isn't
scum
American
class.
the one that like takes away your pets, like defenestrates and like beats it, like knocks your teeth out?
I don't know, but
Or is that United?
from 3 different
United.
flight
It's
attendants,
United. Okay.
3 different flight attendants, I got 3 separate free beers, and they're like, "How do I owe you?" Like, "Nah, don't worry about it." It's like, "What?"
That's
I mean,
fantastic.
thank you, but
did they take a fancy to you?
I don't know.
Maybe
I
they
can't
were.
imagine.
They thought
Maybe-
you were
I mean, I
cute.
looked like death after
Yeah,
that.
maybe they were
trip.
keen on you. They,
You should
they
be like-
thought you needed it.
I mean,
Did
they-
you mention you were there buying a Lambo?
I
Were you
did
like,
have this
"Oh,
Ferrari
heck
jacket on. Maybe they were turned
That was
on
it.
by
That's
this
probably
crest
it.
here.
Yeah.
Don't worry, I washed it since then, so it's not dirty. But anyway, yeah, I am all over the place all the time, as all of you know. So there's that, and I'm keeping on trying to close this, but I'm going to do it for real this time. So
Attempt
thank
number 3.
you all for watching. Thank you, John, for coming down and
Yep.
for letting us Twitch stream. And we'll catch most of you next week. But if you like this on Twitch, find us at MotorCult on iTunes, YouTube, or Facebook. Thanks. Bye.